Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new live stream. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. We're going to get started. We'll turn the face cam on at 100 likes. We're currently only at 8. So hit that like button. Let's get to 100 likes. And we are going to be covering the primaries out of 4 states tonight. Probably not in full because some of these states count at a snail's pace. But we'll be streaming. We'll be taking super chats. Like and subscribe. 59. We got 40 to go pretty much before we can turn on the face cam and show you the results. There's not many results so far, but we have some clear we have some clear favorites already, which is kind of to be anticipated. We're at 76. Hit that like button. 88. We got 12 to go. Kamala Harris picked her running mate today. That's brutal. Okay, we hit 100. And on goes the face cam. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We have results to cover. We have results to get to here. Let's pull this up right here. Okay, so already Michigan. You have Michigan, Kansas, Missouri, and Washington. Kansas, there's not a lot going on. There's not really a lot of contested primaries overall. The 2nd District Republican primary, Derek Schmidt, he's the favorite. He's more likely than not going to end up winning it when it's all said and done. You also have Missouri, where there's the Senate primary on the left, none for the right. The gubernatorial primary on both sides. Mike Keough, or however, somebody's going to tell me how to pronounce it, I'm sure at some point, but he is in the lead. Very few votes counted. You also have the lieutenant governor's race, the attorney general's race. Andrew Bailey will likely hold on. Donald Trump endorsing every candidate possible, it seems like, in these races. Secretary of State has drawn a lot of attention because Republicans have a internet candidate that's been getting a lot of traction for attempting to be controversial in Valentina Gomez, but she's down there at 7%. I knew she would perform, not very well, but I didn't think she'd be only getting 7%. But, I mean, it's probably Denny Hoskins or Mike Carter's to lose, just given what I've read about the race. So we'll be analyzing it. We got Michigan, which, again, Democrats and Republicans having a Senate primary. Alyssa Slotkin, she is very, fake moderate Democrat. She does well in Oakland County. That's her district that's in. Mostly. Hill Harper, you have a far left choice. He's going to do better in the college towns. He will do better among the, Palestine, uncommitted type of crowd just because he's running a campaign to Slotkin's left on that issue, among many other issues. But it seems like Slotkin, just given her war chest, just given how Democrats have been usually voting in primaries lately, she's not really going to lose this. And Mike Rogers is definitely going to win the Republican primary. Justin Amash might do well in the Grand Rapids area, but that's mainly just because he's from there. It's not like Mike Rogers is a particularly weak candidate for that area. So we'll watch the turnout. It's not likely going to, be anything earth-shattering here, but you have some House races as well to keep watch of. But again, very few very, very contested races in Michigan, down ballot. You have some primaries for some races. They're probably not going to end up winning. The 8th district, though, is definitely going to be something to watch for sure. I believe that's the Dan Kildee district, and you have several candidates that are running on the Republican side in that district as well. The Democrats, you have several running for their column, but we'll see. This is a prime district to flip if Donald Trump does well in the state of Michigan at the top of the ticket. We'll really just have to wait and see what happens on that front. But we'll be watching, we'll be monitoring as the night goes on, but we'll get to super chats as well. Michigan, not a lot's going to happen. We'll probably spend a lot of the stream talking about the 2024 presidential race as it does stand today. Kamala Harris, she's ahead in the polls. She's ahead on Real Clear Politics. But again, there is this response bias, and it's real because polling samples are vastly different even after waiting in a lot of these polls. And it's mainly because Democrats have energy, which is a good thing for them. I'm not saying it's not, but you're not seeing a big swing of the electorate the way that some people would like to imagine, some people would like to believe. A lot of people are freaking out. I mean, we might see Harris up by 5 nationally by the end of the month. I'll still tell people, calm down. You know, if this is like this in mid to late September, might be a problem if the samples revert back to normal. But again, we've seen how the polls have been in the past. Just because Trump was getting by because Biden supporters were, very disillusioned doesn't necessarily mean that he was guaranteed to have a cakewalk anyways. I think Trump was going to beat him by a sizable margin down the stretch. But Democrats, at the little glimmer of hope, Harris is automatically popular overnight. Why is that? It's because of response bias and nothing more. So again, we're very slow to count the votes in Michigan, and the early dumps are coming in. 2 of these 3 counties are liberal counties, Livingston the lone exception. But again, even in Washtenaw, you have really nothing. But Oakland County, they dump their early vote dump first, and that's going to be crucial to watch on election night for sure. I would assume that Harris is going to have a sizable lead because it's early vote, but still, we will watch and we'll monitor the targets for whatever she needs to have, and we're going to go from there. So we have super chats. Johnny Heartdog usually starting off, and he starts off this show with 10, saying most Republicans are now saying it's in the bag with the VP pick. I think they need to stop being so overconfident. Well, I think they need to stop being so online. That's the problem. It was not in the bag with Biden even. Trump was the clear favorite, and not all was lost after Kamala Harris became the running mate or became the nominee. So again, people flip-flop back and forth. The mood changes, but the mood in the real world does not change on a whim like that. Nobody cares Trump attacked Brian Kemp in the real world. Nobody cares that, some people on the left care about the whole J.D. Vance comments or whatever, but that's not been a factor moving the polls. It's not. And in the real world, in the trenches, in the places that matter, where they don't operate on election mafia, Twitter, right or left, these are the people that decide the election. These are the people that voted for Trump and then also voted for John Fetterman and probably are going to vote for Trump again. These are the people that exist in the real world where you're like, how did they vote for this guy but then vote for this guy? Like, that's the average voter that's going to determine this election. And that's the average voter that doesn't like open borders. They don't like, Kamala Harris's past positions on crime. Maybe they think some Republicans on abortion take things too far, but they acknowledge that Trump messages properly on that issue. There's plenty of things that matter. And in some states, it does come down to turnout. In other states, it's turnout and persuasion. It's both. But, when you have people that say it's all over, and then you have people say it's so back. Look, Walz was not a good pick, but Walz is probably not going to hurt Harris. Just like Vance probably was not the best pick. I love the guy, but again, I just don't think he moved the needle against Donald Trump any more than any other realistic choice would have, just because people on Twitter like to make jokes about, fake stories from his book about him having sexual relations with a piece of furniture. Let's be real here. The memes have gotten so big that even the VP pick for Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, mentioned something about it. But again, either way, I think that if anything, if they focus on that, they're probably making him more likable in the process because they're just being ridiculous. They're not talking about the issues. Vance is going to just eviscerate this guy, Tim Walz. He's not a very smart guy. He's a midwit. You look at his past. Look at where he went to school and look at where Vance went to school. And look at how Vance graduated from Ohio State, top of his class in 2 years. And look at how Walz performed at his, Nebraska college that he went to. Look at the far left record of Walz and compare it to his fake moderate facade of a record back when he was in the United States House. It's a vastly different climate. It's a vastly different change of events for sure. We have new results pouring in Eaton County. Again, Mike Rogers is going to win this, and Alyssa Slotkin's going to win decisively as well. We'll look at Missouri as more results pour in. And the governor's primary, Mike is it Kiwi? I don't know. Somebody probably mentioned it. Chief Officer Henry Wild says, will you do a video on North Carolina's governor race? Absolutely. Cameron Campbell says, my Jewish friend said they couldn't pick Shapiro because they need the Death to America voter base. He's an independent, and after this, his family's voting Republican. Well, it's anecdotal, but I mean, I imagine there's some people that are very put off by this. A lot of them are Republicans, plain and simple. But you had a lot of people that were pulling for Josh Shapiro that are now like, okay, you're not wanting the moderate option that has more crossover appeal, which I think is overrated for sure. Just because you're a moderate doesn't mean that you're going to perform that well. Tim Kaine was like chosen for that reason. He didn't help Hillary Clinton because VP picks are overrated. But, in terms of Kamala Harris, if she wanted to gain maybe a point in Pennsylvania, because I'm not going to say, oh, we could not win Pennsylvania without with Josh Shapiro on the ticket. But I will say that in terms of Kamala Harris in her VP pick, that's like crucial because that state, if you lose it, which she's a horrible fit for the state, with Shapiro, I still think she would have lost it. But she's such a bad fit for the state that maybe she could put it a little bit more in play. And she chose not to. Minnesota's not competitive. I really don't believe it is. If it is, she's already losing, period, plain and simple. If Minnesota's even within 3, she's losing. So I don't think it's even worth contesting at this point. Maybe if Harris implodes later on, it could be like some sort of a bragging rights type of prize. Trump would love to have it. He'd love to have New York and New Jersey. Those states are not really in play. And it's not a bad thing to test the waters earlier. Maybe, get your margins up high, save some down ballot races, do what you got to do. Right now, I mean, the main focus is on Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. I think Trump is going to win 5. I really do. 5 of those at a minimum. I don't think that Harris is capable, regardless of VP, in Wisconsin. Pennsylvania, I think that Biden had a lot going for him, and nobody talks about it just because of who he was. And you see, the past 4 years, there's no way. Georgia, even that's iffy, but I think Georgia might be the state that Harris could pick off that Biden couldn't, just because of, higher black turnout, the Atlanta area. It's a different ball game than, Metro Milwaukee or Metro Pittsburgh or even Metro Philadelphia, just because of how it's changed. And I'm not saying that she's even going to win it, but I think that you could make a case that compared to Biden, demographically speaking and who she energizes, Georgia is a better state for her than Pennsylvania or Wisconsin. She's basically not going to win Arizona. She's not going to win Nevada. This ticket has no Hispanic appeal, period. Plain and simple. So I think that it comes down to a lot of different factors, for sure. But I don't think that Kamala Harris is necessarily going to go out there and win these states that Joe Biden was trailing in by 6-7 points for the most part. Georgia is less elastic, so it's more of a turnout with your base state. Republicans, if they put up MTG statewide, they would not get shellacked. But if they put up somebody like MTG in Pennsylvania, who would not get any money, whatever, no state turnout apparatus for the party, yeah, they would get shellacked there. And I'm not saying MTG would be a good statewide candidate. But somebody, it doesn't matter who you put up, horrible candidate, great candidate, Georgia is going to be close. Usually. It's usually going to be close. Especially in a presidential year. Because midterm year, yeah, lower black turnout, especially in round 1 of the Senate race. And you go from there. But still, let's see. More super chats. Johnny Heart Dog says, try to imagine if you can what this country would be like in 4 years if those two get in 13 weeks from today, by the way. Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is probably going to be the last, few hours stream that we do. I know that there's there's some primaries that we'll cover, but election day, I mean, that's not too far from now. We have to go 13 weeks. Ice Cream Junkie says, proudly voted for Rogers today. How good of a chance do you think he has in November? Will be a tough seat to flip. I don't think it's that tough, honestly, because if you're talking about the presidential race, if Trump wins Michigan, which that's another one of the battlegrounds that I think Harris might be able to win, just all things considered, mainly because you have a lot of more liberal college towns across the state that I think she'd do better in Biden with. I think she might do better among the Muslim vote, especially now that Shapiro's not the VP. But again, I think that she's going to get eviscerated in Macomb. I think she's going to get eviscerated in much of the state. I don't think she's a good fit for West Michigan, which has been moving to the left. But if Trump wins Michigan, Rogers has like a 50-50 shot of winning Michigan as well. Slotkin is not even that well known statewide. She's well known in Oakland County. She's well known in Livingston, Ingham. That's her district. Outside of that, I mean, she's not well known. Rogers, maybe not either, but he's a better fit. Mike Rogers, he's, where was his district? Let me pull this up. I actually don't remember. I think it was in the, wait a minute. I think they had the same seat. They had the same seat, actually. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't even know that. I guess, he might have actually been my congressman at one time when I was growing up. I'm not quite sure. This was like 10, 15 years ago. But no, I mean, like, seriously, that's actually something I didn't even know. Okay, I thought he was from like southwestern Michigan. If that's the case, then I think that you could make a case that'd be a wash, because Rogers is a much better fit for like the suburbs than like I don't know, just like generic Trump type of guy. But Trump is going to do well there anyway, so Rogers might outrun him among some people. Slotkin also has the problem too, and maybe it's not as big of a deal because she's down ballot, but Slotkin is a very, very big like liberal Zionist type of candidate, and she, even to the point where she'll peel off some like Republican Jewish voters in Oakland County, but the Muslim vote is not going to be too happy with her. Some of them might go Green Party, and I think a lot of them are going to vote for Harper in the primary. Not so far, but we'll see. Either way, Rogers is at 71. We'll go back to Missouri. Okay. Yeah, it seems like so far Ashcroft is doing well in the Kansas City area. Just depends on who does well in the St. Louis metro and who's going to be really running it up in the rurals for sure. But let's check the Attorney General. Bailey probably holds on. He's the incumbent. And also, let's see, Secretary of State. Yeah, Gomez, a lot of people were worried on the Republican side if she would win. I said she would not even get 10%, which there's a lot that we don't know, but it seems like, yeah, she's not going to get 10%. Because, look, these internet candidates that rage bait for clout on Twitter, they don't do so well in the real world when it's actually like time to vote. And that's kind of proof that the internet is not real life, period. Plain and simple. And if it was, we get very different election results than we get in the real world time and time again. Now, maybe as the younger generations get older, it'd be a little different. We'll have to see. But we have more super chats. Timbo Slices, hey, Rep, birthday was on August 3rd. Got Yankee tickets for the birthday. Got to see Aaron Judge hit a home run live. Hope your weekend was just as awesome. Well, I think it was, but anyways, happy birthday. Not really a big Yankees fan myself, but I have no room to talk given how trash that my baseball team is right now and has been for the past, 10 years. Bell Fagor says $5 EST respect. It's true, we're early tonight. How can people in totally blue areas help Trump? Well, I think that they can. It depends where. Because if you're in a blue area in Michigan, you obviously, it doesn't matter. Any votes you peel off in a blue area is going to help the state. If you're in like California and obviously not close to Arizona, not close to Nevada, then I think you can get involved. There's phone banking things you can do. You can make calls to people, get these voters registered that way. That's a big way of doing things, big way of getting involved. A lot of people need to do it. Or you could help out down ballot races as well. Those are important too. Let's see. Say it louder for the people in back, please. Sent 10. Thank you. Alcides Perez says Nebraska second. It moved right by 13,000 votes. Pennsylvania, we've netted 242,000 new voters. It's huge. Usually when that happens, you're gaining voters. Now, 2020 in some places, not entirely the case because there were so many Democrats who were voting for Trump that became Republicans. But the fact that you still see this trend happen, seriously, in every county in Pennsylvania, that is huge. And you look at the overall, primary data, which they said was bad for Trump. We analyzed it, and it's like, this is glorious for Trump. These are really good numbers historically, really good numbers compared to 2020 when you take everything into account as well. And that was back then. This is now. Nathan DeVries says, do you think we have a chance in the Washington governor's race? I'm from Washington, and the opposition, Ferguson, seems to be unpopular. It's possible because Washington's gubernatorial elections usually are much closer than the presidential ones. So, we'll see. We'll have to see. But let's go back. I don't want to miss out on anything. But we'll be monitoring it all night. Washington doesn't close until 11 Eastern, so that's in about 2.5 hours until they close. But in Michigan, again, we don't see much, but I don't even know if Amash is going to win a count. Well, he's doing much better in the early returns in Ottawa. But again, this is a guy who voted with Obama 51% of the time. He's somebody who supports open borders. Like, is he good on he doesn't like surveillance or whatever? I guess, but the guy voted to impeach Trump twice. Like, I see so many people like Rogers is just as bad as Slotkin. It's like, no, he's not. Whether he's going to be trustworthy or not, Slotkin is a psychopath. I mean, I've heard stories. I've heard horror stories. I've seen them even. Plain and simple. She's a crazy person. I don't know if any of this is going to get leaked before the election. I think it probably should, but she's legitimately crazy. Legitimately. I mean, she's driven people off the cliff in ways that I don't even want to express. But let's see. Only 500 viewers. Hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button down below. Let's get the view count up. I don't know. We're only at 500, but I think we'll get more as the night goes on. We'll get more. Let's see. Whoa Pony says Harris Wall's ticket going for Twitter mean girls. Their presence is suffocating. Yeah, again, they're turning people off by doing this. They're acting like resist libs. And look, it will drum up the left's enthusiasm on Twitter. It's going to make Twitter unusable because then you have all the emotional children that exist on the right as well. And they'll try to pretend like the sky is crumbling just because people are mad at them on Twitter when these people were like just getting clowned on relentlessly for months because of Biden. Now they have this energy. I mean, plain and simple, they're demoralized now. There's no reason to be. Harris probably has gained a point or two, and she might lose that point or two. Some of these polls are unbelievable. The Marist poll is ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it before. Biden's job approval, -4. They have him at -4. The last poll, if we look at this, NPR Marist had him at, actually was -7, but the one before that, if you look at that, it was -10. It's always kind of been an outlier. But it goes from -10, now it's -4. That's impossible. That's statistically impossible that he's surging in his approval rating when the country's essentially still on fire, including the economy. Stocks, they bounced back today. Okay. I mean, I expected they would. Not as much as people would have liked. Who knows what's going to happen. But those jobs numbers, those unemployment numbers that he was even touting, that narrative collapsed. It's skyrocketing. Might be 4.6, 4.7 by election day. Maybe not. But it's not even the full story about the economy. The economy was perceived as garbage even with 3.5% unemployment. It's true. So Oakland County is getting more votes in. Nothing out of Macomb. But again, Mike Rogers, the Trump endorsement, and probably would have won without the Trump endorsement. He's at 71.2% of the vote. Missouri, we'll go back to the governor's race where things are tightening up a little bit. Mike and Ashcroft, Mike is in the lead, but 1% reporting, and this is early vote. Who knows how the election day vote is going to shake out? There's so much that we don't know. Let's see. Okay, we did that one. Doomsday Machine says, I hope. I still don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Kehoe? Kehoe? I don't know. But it says he hopes that Mike loses. I voted for Eigel, but Ashcroft would also be fine. Also, thoughts on Valentina Gomez. I find her entertaining personally. Well, entertaining, yes. As for how she conducts herself, how does that translate to a statewide election? I don't know. I think it can be entertaining, but it's just attention grabbing is what it is. She just tries to rage bait. There's a lot of people that have done that over the years on social media, and I guess she's joining the bandwagon. Doesn't mean that she's a strong candidate in a primary or a general election. Clearly, she's not, because she's losing badly as we speak. But let's see. Egg Beast says people are too stupid to make the right decision. No one in their sane mind should be voting for Kamala, yet she's up in the polls. I'm so black-pilled. Well, first of all, she's not going to win as things stand now. It's still going to take a lot for her to win. The current polling shift doesn't dictate that. There is a thing called response bias, and no, it's not a cope, and yes, it is real. Plain and simple. If you look at 2012, Mitt Romney led at a certain point, but Mitt Romney never really led, period. The polls had a response bias, plain and simple. Obama was up from 2 to 6 points or 2 to 5 points the entire cycle if you polled the same people. Some pollsters did that, and he didn't see as big of a shift. He won by, 4 points at the end of the day nationally, a little bit less than that. So, again, you see the same thing. Convention bumps. A lot of them are just enthusiasm bumps as well. Democrats might even get more of one, but they kind of have it already. I wouldn't be shocked if there's no DNC bump, because they already have the response bias. I think it's different if you have a party that's not united and the convention unites them. You might see people come on board. You might even see independents by a little bit after the convention. But again, which independents are answering the phone? Who's getting sampled? You try to wait for it, but you can't wait for everything. Like, I see polls with samples that are 35% liberal. When you do it by ideology, conservatives are the or not, they're a plurality. Moderates are close behind. Liberal, maybe 15 to 20% self-identifies as a liberal. Now, a lot of moderates are actually liberal, and even further to the left than that, but they just say they're moderates. So that doesn't tell us the full story. But the fact is, you're not seeing 15% of people becoming liberal overnight who were not liberal before. You're not seeing that. And that's what I want people to understand. Now, we'll see what happens. I think that Harris is going to definitely make this a tighter race. It shakes up the race as things stand now. But I don't believe that she's the favorite still, even if she has the lead in RCP, which, again, could very well be temporary. It is likely fueled by response bias, and it's just true. I mean, Biden's approval rating is skyrocketing as we speak. It's like, is that really happening in the real world? Like, some people might be happy he's stepping down, but I don't think that that's necessarily what's moving the needle anything more than response bias. It's just impossible that Harris becomes one of the most popular politicians ever overnight. Like, the media is carrying her weight, but the media is not necessarily as effective as they used to be. But this is mainly, like I said, it's response bias. We polled people. We waited for it as best we could. We got Trump by 3 in Michigan over Harris. He's at 49. She's at 46. I think Michigan's going to be a very, very, very close state at the end of the day. I'm not particularly worried about where the polls stand. I am worried about how people act and panic. And as for messaging and what Trump needs to do and what Vance needs to do is stay focused. And it's the same thing. You're running up against Biden, except you have Biden as somebody that has, I guess, a few more brain cells that probably work far less than even Biden's when he was at peak capacity. Harris is trying to stay in the basement, stay underground. She'll do rallies. She won't talk to the media. She's going to get grilled, period. She doesn't want to debate Trump on his terms. She's like, oh, well, we already had a debate. No, you did not. That was Trump and Biden. Yeah, Trump should debate Biden again. That'd be funny. Honestly, it would, because Biden apparently knows Harris better than anybody. Let Biden go out there, debate. He agreed to the debate. Defend Harris. Why not? Honestly, Trump should show up at the ABC debate after he debates an empty podium on Fox, because it doesn't matter what the bias is at that point from whatever moderator they have. It'll just showcase Trump went to the lion's den and won, just like he did with those, black lady reporters not too long ago, which was arguably one of his best moments ever. I mean, this guy operates under pressure like a champion. I mean, he does. You saw what happened when he got shot. He's a warrior. He's a warrior for sure. Tamster Eater 96 says Tim Walz enjoys watching his wife have sexual or marital relations with other men. Also, look up the Kansas State Senator for District 14. Is this some joke? I don't get. State senator for District 14. Okay, that's funny. There was a guy with the last name that ran under, I think, Montana's Senate race in 2022. His name was Russell Fagg. And hopefully we don't get demonetized for just mentioning somebody's name. But that was indeed his name. That's true. Very funny. But what can I say? Sam Madsen says, would Gomez be at risk of losing the general if she won the primary? I don't know. I would probably say that it would depend on a lot of things. I think she'd get a lot of negative media coverage. That doesn't necessarily mean that she would lose, because with polarization, it's a presidential race. It'd be a close one. It depends on the Democrat as well. But, I mean, she has a platform. If she wanted to run as a serious candidate, she probably would be doing better. But you look at how much money she raised, and it's like next to nothing. And that's also a problem, because if she can't even raise money on her own by rage baiting online, it's not going to translate well. And it matters less for sure. But you don't want to get outspent like 100-1, because I know a lot of donors that would just bail. And a lot of people that are edgy on the internet don't understand power in politics, and it shows, and it's kind of a little bit of a problem, to be honest, at advancing their ideas. I have memes for 10 says, just today my family suggested we get a COOF test. I said no. When the F are these people going to let it go? No more tests, mandates, pokes. It's been 4 years. Move on already. I think most people have let it go. I really do. There are going to be a few lunatics out there for sure, but I think most people in the real world have moved on. Period. On both sides of the topic, by the way. But let's see. Okay, so yeah, Harper not doing so well in Wayne, actually. So we'll see. But you're seeing this all around. Slotkin's running it up with the Democrats in Michigan. Rogers with the Republicans in Michigan. It's good to avoid these divisive primaries, and I think that Steve Daines gets a lot of credit for doing what he could do to avoid them all around. I mean, even in like Ohio where it was more contested, Moreno still won by like 20-30. He did what he had to do to get people to just get out of the race, get donors behind the candidates. That was well done. And we'll see. If he wins back the Senate with a big majority, he is most certainly going to probably be our next Senate majority leader. Whether people like that, whether people don't like that, that's a little bit besides the point. So, I don't know. Let's go back to the super chats. Punch a Bunch Bear says only suburban redact. We'll err on the side of caution for monetization after the last name that we had to read. We'll vote for, yeah, I mean, well, she'll get liberals on board. It's not just suburban women. It's a lot of people that'll vote for Harris. It's black women in the inner cities and the urban cores. It's going to be just partisan Democrats, people with Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, that's just pretty much who's going to be the turnout apparatus. I think with Hispanics, they're going to completely just get eviscerated. And I think that even then, some of the polls aren't quite showing it. But Biden was already weak with them. I think Harris is going to be even weaker, to be honest. Even weaker. Let's see. Jadit McSwag says Walz looks like Biden. Twin at the rally. Cory must lose. Cory Bush, you mean? Yeah, Walz is like not he's not that presentable. Like Tim Kaine also was not that presentable. And that's the thing. J.D. Vance, people give him trash. I don't really think on paper he's nearly as bad as a VP pick that people on Twitter think. It's like, oh, well, his favorables are low, but they're still below 50. And when they polled Economist had Burgum down by 10, minus 10, Rubio down by 12. They had, I think it was, there was another option they had in the negatives. Glenn Youngkin nationally, the only poll I've seen had him down 3. Nobody knows who he is. And that's also an issue too. Because it's like, oh, well, Youngkin's likable, but here's the deal. Glenn Youngkin would still get slandered by the media for some reason or another. They would find a way. Maybe his approval wouldn't be so negative, but we know how it operates, or we know how these things work. Partisan Democrats are the people that hate J.D. Vance. Partisan Republicans are mainly the people that say, I don't know if I like Vance or not. which some people might say is a problem, but those same people like Trump, so what's the real big deal? Among independents, a lot of them are unsure, even after the media blitz. The liberal independents don't like him. Conservative independents, again, they don't know him that well. And that's the thing. He should do more media appearances. He's been doing great lately. But at the end of the day, the VP debate is crucial for Vance, and I think that he has a real opportunity to shine because I've seen him debate. I've seen Walz debate. Walz is not the worst debater, but again, defending his record is a lot easier than defending Harris. And that's the thing. I feel like he's a little bit better spoken than somebody like a Tim Kaine, but I think at the end of the day, he is farther left on policy. There's more subject matter there, and I think he arguably brings even less to the ticket. He's a Lutheran. Catholics don't like Lutherans. There's a lot of Lutherans in Minnesota. They're not really in existence in Pennsylvania. J.D. Vance is a Catholic. That's definitely something that could move the needle in a close state like Pennsylvania, where Trump did not perform in line with white Catholics as good as 2016 in certain places, because Joe Biden was obviously not a real Catholic, but he's a nominal Catholic, and that bode well for him among some of those independents. Also, let's check on the Cori Bush thing. Where is she? I got to look at this. We got to go all the way down to U.S. House. Are there any votes in? No votes in. Okay, Wesley Bell. So they're trying to primary the squad. They got Bowman. They did not get the woman from Pennsylvania. Will they get Cori Bush? Honestly, I hope they don't because she's so bad. She's such an easy target. I said the same thing about Bowman. Like, we could celebrate if she loses, and then we could celebrate if she wins. It's plain and simple. It's a win-win for me. I know why people want her to lose. I despise her, but she's so bad for them as a bad look that we gotta operate with more of a Machiavellian mindset. Like, have these people win these elections that make the other side look bad. So what happens? We look better in comparison. Plain and simple. That's what we got to do. Instead, we don't do that. A lot of people don't do it. Some people disagree with my take on it just because, we had a lot more viewers now than before. I don't know what happened. We just went from 500. All of a sudden, we got up to 1,700. What's going on? I don't know. I guess the algorithm just decided to mess around for some reason. But welcome to the chat, guys. Like the stream, subscribe to the channel as well so we can get to 193K. We're close. We're 300 away. Like and subscribe. Let's try to get there as soon as we possibly can. So, let's see. Dino Diva says, ditto, Eastern Standard Time respected. Well, it's Eastern Daylight Time. I'm respecting EDT, not EST technically. But no, it's true. It's true. We are respecting. Let's see. Ice Cream Junkie says, any chance we know general election results November 5th or early November 6th, 2020 all over again, somewhere in between? I'd say somewhere in between. I think that the first dump in Arizona is going to tell us a lot. And if Trump is really outrunning the target for him to win, then that's a good thing. And we'll probably know that he's probably going to win it. Nevada, same thing. Although they might not do their drop until 4 a.m. But we're going to be here, and we're going to go for as long as we need to go to get everything settled, to get everything done. It's going to be a great stream. It's going to be huge. It's going to be epic. It's going to be wonderful. It will be. Seriously. That's the thing. That's the big thing here. And it's going to be a close election. And Trump, I think the media at a certain point is going to call him the underdog. But you know what? That's when he operates best. That's when he operates well down the stretch. Let him call him the underdog. Let him be the underdog. Let it happen. Seriously, let it happen. Let's see. Ash K2 says, we're cooked. All factions. See, this guy, same super chat every time from some of these people. I don't know if they want reassurance from me that everything's fine, but it's like factions of the left are united. Yeah, they're not, first of all. Second of all, that's not enough to win an election. In every single poll that has Kamala Harris winning nationally, she's not winning independents. Joe Biden won them by 13 points in the exit polling. And still, did he even really win the election? Some people will leave that up to the interpretation, as we will as well. but it should tell you enough. I mean, it was a close fight. This is going to be a close fight. Polarization is real. There's a lot of stupid people out there, but the fact that Chunk Yogurt is happy is not a good thing. The fact that some of these people on the far left are happy with Walz, Bernie Sanders and AOC, the fact that all these people are happy is not a good thing at all. These people are very unpopular. Their candidates even lose elections in cities like Seattle, where, they actually have a standing. So if this is the campaign Harris wants to run, let her run this campaign. It's not going to bode well for her down the stretch. Now, I'm not saying she can't win, but I don't think she's favored. The average white working class Trump-Biden voter, if they do exist, I think they're overrated in number. But the average white working class Biden voter, period, in the Rust Belt, doesn't care what AOC has to say. Like, seriously, these people are real. They exist. Maybe they blame Trump for COVID. They don't care anymore. Like, there's many reasons for that. Trump in 2020 was in the uniquely worst position possible for any possible world leader or any president ever. And how well did he do? He set a record for votes of a sitting president. He essentially went out there and they had to change the rules just so they could barely find a way to cross the finish line 4 days after the election. So again, you want to sit up here and say it's over, I will sit up here and tell you you're wrong. Plain and simple. Where is the energy we had? We're down 10, we're going to beat you. That was 2020, and it honestly, did it work? Kinda. Did it kind of work? It kind of worked. All right. Dragon Report says, do you know where I can get county mileage results? County mileage? Like, what do you mean by that? I'm unsure. Like, for the election? Or, I don't know. That one, politics are Democrats are they replacing Harris? They're corrupt. Well, hopefully the polls will give them a false sense of security so they don't do that. Obama allegedly wanted a celebrity, or somebody of a nature that would probably bring real enthusiasm to the table. I don't think Obama cares if Harris loses. I don't, because I think that Obama did care initially. He's worried because he's like, well, wait a minute. I don't want Trump to get back in the White House because they got this rivalry. Trump-Biden rivalry is far greater, although now I think Biden's probably going to end up voting for Trump, either because he doesn't know how to properly fill out a ballot or because him and his family are pissed that he got cooed, which he did get cooed. But that's beside the point. So I don't know if they are. I mean, she basically is going to be the nominee. The delegates are what matter at this point, and there's nothing else they can do. So they'll cling to the polls, which they still wouldn't even win the election if they're true. I mean, the furthest left poll in the country has Harris up, 4? And that poll was off by like 8 points in the midterms. So let them go for it. Let's see. Jeff for not 444 says the GOP is stealing the Secretary of State primary from Gomez. Stay vigilant. Yeah, exact. No. See, this is the thing. He's trolling, I can tell. But either way, like, yeah, I guarantee you, she's the type that's going to be like, I lost. It's fraud. And it's like, no, you're online. Like, this is the problem. You have no money and you're online. That's why. Okay. What can I say? That one, politics, is how do you feel about Alan Lichtman? I get this a lot. I don't mind talking about it, though, because it's just funny. The guy is a clown at this point. I've never seen anybody with the most ridiculously inflated ego ever. He's like, I got everything right. I'm the best election forecaster in history. It's like he's not, because, first of all, let's be honest, his keys, he's interpreted them subjectively, and it's like 2000, he said it was a model for the Electoral College. Afterwards, it's popular vote. And then 2016, it's popular vote. Trump is going to lose the Electoral College. And then he comes out and says, it was for the Electoral College. So he's a grifter. Half of the close elections he's predicted, he's gotten wrong, plain and simple. So I guess technically we could call ourselves in the same boat in that department. But, I mean, you've seen an overhaul of the election system. You've seen a lot of crazy things happen. The Keys also had Biden doing better than Harris. The Keys would say Trump would do better in 2028 if he loses than he would do in 2024. The Keys are subjective. The Keys are just not exactly the best way of looking at things. They're not. Let's see. Mike Griffin says, on one hand, I'm happy she chose such a radical person for VP. On the other hand, I'm not happy because if she wins, we're screwed. Yeah, true. Sam Madsen says, Walz is a good debater and speaker when he's on offense, collapses when on defense. Vance needs to use that to his advantage. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's very true. I did think on some, because I watched the debate with Jensen. I think some areas he was winning. When he was attacking Jensen's like medical credentials or whatever, I'm like, okay, well, he's not bad. But then when he talked about crime, he just would not answer questions. He was playing defense. It was not the best look. Jensen shined at those moments. And I didn't watch every minute of both of his debates, but I saw probably about a good 40 minutes of it yesterday just watching. He's a paper tiger. This ticket's a paper tiger. Josh Shapiro, I think he's overrated too, for the record. I mean, he's got skeletons in his closet, and his popularity would tank overnight. But you know what? He is from Pennsylvania. That might bring enough state pride people over the top. Not enough, but like 1%, it can sway an election. You don't do that. Minnesota, Trump's probably not winning it anyway. So, I mean, he could. I think his chances of winning it didn't even dip. But we'll see. Richard Head says, Rep, can you come home and run the Michigan GOP? Voted for Young and Rogers. Can they win the general? Michigan for Trump? Yeah, both can win the general. The Michigan GOP's in better hands now. I'm not in that business of running a party, but I can I call things out when I see it. You know, it's part of the game being an analyst of sorts. Let's see. Let's check the U.S. Senate race here. Okay, 75-25, 71-11. Yeah, Amash is... no, wait, hold on. O'Donnell is winning Ottawa County. But that's early. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, she might be from there. But every other county Rogers is clearing in. We'll see. More votes got dumped, and Amash went up a little bit. So there's that. Yeah, and Amash is going to do better in Kent County, but he might not win a single county. Rogers is going to come in for that sweep, it seems. Let's see. Kansas. Anything in Kansas? Anything? Nope, not really. The 3rd district is not really likely to flip anyways, but it seems like every election is called that was contested. We'll go back to Michigan. We'll go back to Missouri, actually. I want to see the governor's race. Yeah, Mike is in the lead. He's maintained a stable lead. Nothing in from St. Louis County. I think that Eigel and Ashcroft together, these were the two that were more solid than Mike. But I think that they might actually be the ones, ironically, getting him across that finish line. Let's see. Let's go to here. Let's check the Cori Bush race. Nothing in the Cori Bush race, by the way. Nothing there, surprisingly. But on the Republican side, there's a couple that haven't been called. Ann Wagner, she's got a primary challenger. The 3rd district, Trump, I think, might have endorsed both candidates there, too. Who knows? But Sam Graves is going to win in the 6th. Burleson in the 7th, Jason Smith easily in the 8th. But the 3rd district and the 2nd district, they'll be something to watch, but Wagner probably is going to hold on, if we're going to be completely honest here. But let's see. We'll go back. I'll go back to Michigan. We'll see the House elections. Nothing in out of the 8th district. Seems like there's not a lot of contested races. Jack Bergman's going to win easily. State legislature, anything going on there? I don't really see a lot of incumbents faltering so far. But yeah, we're looking at this. Slotkin, she's running it up. We'll go back to Super Chats. Jadit McSwag says, Walz visibly looks like a Biden clone in rally pics. I mean, yeah, he's old. Like, he looks really old. He's only 60. He's the same age as she is, but he looks old. Older than Trump for sure. Like, optics matter. Trump comes off more youthful than Biden. He arguably comes off about as youthful as Harris as well. But what can I say? Ash K2 says, you're underestimating the "you're weird" message. I don't believe so at all. If that's your argument, you're already losing. First of all, let's be honest. You're weird, they say. Okay, let's talk about their policies. Like, the average person, like who exactly is the average voter is the real question that cares. People that want to own people on social media. When have those candidates ever really won that didn't have a sizable message for the real world? Harris doesn't even have a platform. I mean, let's be real. She could possibly win because of ballots. It's not going to be because of her messaging. Her messaging is terrible. Saying you're weird, that's all they have. You know, it was a threat to democracy. Now it's weird. Maybe weird is better than threat to democracy. It's still not good, period. And the fact that Trump is not really getting attacked on merits and he's being attacked for positions that he doesn't even have, that's also not a good thing. They're running again, trying to bring back, it's a Project 2025, Project 25, this, abortion, that. These are things that Trump already neutralized. Other Republicans would not have this issue. And believe me, the weird stuff would arguably stick to some of these people because they're kind of weird. They come off as weird, period. If people like to make up stories about J.D. Vance with a couch. Ron DeSantis was the nominee. There's a guy at one of his rallies that's like, I used to shower with this guy. That clip would be on every TV screen. People are fooling themselves if they think that these other Republicans would do better, because they wouldn't. But there's no reason to freak out about this weird stuff. I mean, plain and simple, what are the ads going to be? The ads are like, you're weird. The one ad I saw, I think it was on Twitter where they did that, was like the most off-putting ad I think I've ever seen in my life. And it's like, these ads are not effective because they're just so bad. They're going to make people who don't even like Trump vote for him. That's how bad they are. JD84 says, is it possible that Kamala and the hype is just a tactic to help Democrats down ballot? Yes. In fact, that was my initial theory, and I think that's largely true. But how much will that even happen? They want to stop the bleeding because they know that if Biden was their nominee, there was a sizable chance that they would be in the low 40s with the Senate. They would never win it again, probably. And the House, I mean, you'd probably have seats that you didn't think would flip that would just flip on a dime. They had to defend New Jersey. Trump led a majority of polls over Biden in New Jersey, in Virginia, in these states that should not be going Republican. Their internal polls had Colorado within 1. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't buy that. Just like I don't buy a poll that has Florida within 5. Colorado is basically the reverse Florida. And it's hard to poll those states at this stage in the game. Polls underestimated each side by like 10 in the midterms. So, let's see. Dino Diva says some news reports say recession is looming. Should this swing independence? Yeah, it would swing independence to Trump. The stock market thing is not good for them. I know it was a one-day thing, but that's what people care about, not being called weird. None of that matters. Or, there's a meme with a coconut in it. I don't even understand why they make a big deal. We're coconut pilled. It's like, no, you're just stupid pilled. That's what you are. If this is what you're clinging to. I mean, they know she's a horrible candidate. They know Trump was a good president. They can't attack Trump on anything. The 1-6 stuff is played out. All the other stuff is played out. What are they attacking him on now? Kamala tried to say Trump was weak on the border. Are you serious? Because he didn't want to sign on to the bill that was weak on the border? It's gaslighting. We've seen polling data about this. Only 12% agree with that statement. 12%. It's funny that now she has to pretend to be tough on the border. If anything, she's going to lose the left in the process, which I don't really think she will. But either way, this is the same woman that wanted to give taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens. And Tim Walz actually did it in Minnesota. Like, that's a really bad policy position to take. And I remember watching the debate back in 2019 on this channel. I think we put the phone up because we were, I don't know if it was even a copyright thing. We just didn't want to worry about having to screen record because I didn't even know how to do it at the time because I was kind of new to the whole, OBS technology stuff. But it was like watching this debate. It was like these policy positions. I'm like, I was scared. I was literally scared watching all these crazy people rant about Trump. And I'm like, I don't care what people say. Like, these people are lunatics. They're going left off the cliff, unlike anything we've seen before. And now Harris has to deal with that baggage that she created for herself now. And being a flip-flopper does not win you an election. It might stop you from taking the other position and getting your ass kicked, but it's not going to win you an election. It did not work for a lot of people. Did not work for Hillary Clinton. Did not work for Mitt Romney, John Kerry, Al Gore, all these people. It did not work for them. Bush in action. Trump, the difference is people like his term. He has a record as president. Even if you want to say Kamala assumes Biden's record, it's a really horrible record to have. So she's doomed and screwed either way. Republicans just need to get their act together and put ads in the air and chase ballots, because that's the only way we're going to lose is if it's mechanics. And it's possible we lose, honestly, but it's not going to be because Democrats are doing a good job. There's no reason why we shouldn't get 80 to 85 million voters for Trump this fall. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to, especially after that picture, which was being censored on social media. But Trump with Elon Musk on Monday, Trump with Aiden Ross yesterday. He needs to do this every Monday. He should be going on a big podcast. I heard he might be going on, the Lex Friedman's show or whatever. He might be doing that show. There's so many things that he's doing. They're like, this isn't serious. It's like he's reaching the new culture. Could he go on Rogan's show? Maybe. That's a very big podcast. But even people who don't like Trump will tune into these things and maybe they'll change their minds. That's it. The comments are all positive under it, plain and simple. Let's see. Luke Aguilar says Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden said Joe Biden's a Mount Rushmore kind of president. What I think she meant to say is Mount Shitmore. That was so bad. I could not stop laughing. How could you say that with a straight face? Is she joking at that point? That's the real question, because it was just so bad. There's no way she unironically believes it. These people are straight up sociopaths. It's honestly almost respectable. Almost respectable, because you can respect somebody that's such either a dumbass or a sociopath to go out there and say something that outrageous. Biden on Mount Rushmore. He's there should be a reverse Mount Rushmore of the 4 worst presidents. Biden would easily be on that. Buchanan, maybe Pierce, there were a lot. Andrew Johnson and Biden. You could say Carter, Obama. Those are recency bias picks. Bush too, recency bias. But Biden is objectively on the worst 4. Objectively, just a horrible president, horrible leader. In fact, in history might be kind to him because they'll say he just had a medical issue. But that doesn't change the facts. Because when he was in office, he's like, no, I'm fine. Everyone's like, no, he's fine. So they don't get to play the sympathy card now after what they've done for the past 4 years. Top Dog Obedience says, have you seen the Harris-Walz campaign sign? Doesn't have a slogan. It's like they're not trying. No, it's bad. They don't have a message. They don't. And maybe that's going to, if they win, it's going to be, well, we made Trump beat himself. But the thing is that Harris does have a record. Biden in 2020, that's like the generic Dem. Harris is not the generic Dem. She has a record. Democrats embroiled themselves in this scandal. Plain and simple. They have to deal with it. They do. Ice Cream Junkie says, Lichtman said the 2000 election was stolen last I was aware. Questioning the legitimacy was a threat to democracy. Exactly. Daniel Mon says, just like Trump making a perfect phone call to Zelensky, like it's the most perfect phone call ever. It's funny. I don't know what you're referencing there. Are you referencing the Harris-Walz thing? I'm unsure. That one, Politics, says, I honestly don't think Rogers can win in November. I had hopes for James both times, and nothing happened. Well, James did outperform Trump. And like I said, if Trump wins Michigan, Rogers might win. So I would keep that in mind. I had hopes for James 2018. He actually probably outran or ran in line with my expectations, which were pretty lofty at the time. Stabenow was a tough nut to crack. And if she was running for re-election, I still think she'd be vulnerable. But she's gone. She's done. Let's see. Sam Madsen says, in Walz, both times he ran, refused to debate in the Minneapolis media market and only debated in small rural media markets in order to minimize losses. That's good to know. But now he wants to debate Vance. I think they should do 2 debates, honestly. They should do one starting in, actually, after the convention so they don't replace the VP. But Vance, he's gonna win that one. So Eigel actually got in second at this point. He's doing well as a lot of these like rural counties are pouring in. It'll be interesting to see how they come in for sure. Seems like Keogh is doing very well in the St. Louis area, but Ashcroft in Kansas City, Jackson County, he's got the lead, but it's only 3% reporting. Rachel Anderson for $20 says, Minnesota's my home state. Escape to Texas. Well, welcome to Texas. A large majority of Minnesota is dancing in the streets tonight, not because Walz let the city burn in 2020, because now they have hope to go back to the red majority. Walz equals beta. Yeah, well, the problem is there's too many far-left NPCs that live in Minnesota, and they're the reason why he got elected. They're why he got reelected. But it is true, he was one of only 6 governors to do worse the second time when they ran in 2022 than when they ran for the first time in 2018. So it is important to take that into consideration. Abbott was one of them, but he was going for a 3rd term. So again, in that, and he had a much stronger candidate in terms of energy and money, even though on policy, Beta is like one of the weakest ever. But still. Matthew Foxtrot says, did you like the Aiden Ross Trump stream? I'm mixed. I saw part of it. I don't have a problem with it. I can't say it was the greatest stream of all time, but he's reaching a new audience, and that's good. I mean, look what Kamala did yesterday. Nothing. She did nothing. So that's already he gets points over her. Andrew Mortensen says, as a Christian, this is the most satanic Democrat presidential ticket in American history. If you vote for Harris and Walz, you need help. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They are the ticket from hell. It's true. I mean, when you look at what they've supported, when you look at what they want to do to this country, it is exactly what they'll make it into. Essentially, you have 2 people with Canadian values. Kamala Harris was raised in Canada. You know, she pretends like she's like this black woman from the South, but she was raised by her Indian mother in Canada. It's true. She has Canadian values. She's probably to the left, or has said things that are to the left of some things that Trudeau supports, but I think her policy would work well with the electorate up in Canada. Tim Walz, Minnesota, in a way, discount Canada, at least in the Minneapolis area. It's definitely in the rest of the state. The rural parts are very much like rural Wisconsin, rural Dakotas. But in terms of the Minneapolis area, in terms of Duluth, it's very similar to Canada. So you basically have Canada, you have a Canadian, and then another Canadian. Liberal values, out of step with America, anti-American values on the same ticket. That's not something that's good. It's not. Real Uniques, his latest polls concern me. Are people that stupid? Well, it's response bias. It's response bias is what it is. So we'll see. We'll see. The Puebs has just got here how the election's going. Yeah, it was going about as expected. Ash K2 says, I've lost hope and I'm ready to accept the Harris win, but as a consolation prize, Ohio and Montana Senate will go red, and in 2026 we might get an actual red wave. There's no reason. Well, accepting a result is one thing. I mean, it's possible Harris could find a way across the finish line. I don't think that people's brains should be broken. I think they should be disappointed in the nation and in whatever we're going to do over the next few months. But this notion that she's even the favorite is just wrong. I mean, definitely she's got a better shot than Biden did. I don't think anybody's going to deny that. But the polls, as a couple of super chatters have noted, you're not seeing a 7-point shift overnight. Are you seeing people that love Trump that are just flipping to Kamala? They don't exist. They don't. Maybe Harris gets some new voters out, but that was not even a Trump issue or a Republican candidate issue. That's a Biden issue. So it'll be close, but we'll talk about the raw votes in terms of how these people are voting. She can't put that Obama coalition together. She can't put the Biden coalition from 2020 together, which already was unsustainable and came apart at the seams. I mean, she's putting together a coalition of very far left people, very terminally online people, and she's going to hope that she doesn't really lose many voters in certain places. That's what she's trying to do. What Trump needs to do is go on offense. I'm not worried. Harris is somebody who's going to do everything. She's going to try to placate her base. She's not going to try to placate independents at all. She's shown no interest in that. She might try in October. By the time that half the country's voted, it's going to be too late. But the thing is that we need to make sure, because our policies do that in and of itself. We need to get Trump as many votes as possible. I don't think he's turning people off with antics lately. I mean, you could argue that he's gave less of an F after he got almost killed, which I can't exactly blame him for doing that, but he's just doing his thing. I think he's been pretty much on message, even though people are mad. It's like, oh, he said something about Harris isn't black or whatever. It's like, well, you know what? A lot of black people agree. Even black people that vote for Harris, they don't see her as black. They don't see her how they saw Obama. Is she 25% African admixture? I mean, yeah. There's no denying that, but she doesn't have that connection that even Obama had. Like Obama was, he was not like a descendant of American slaves, but in terms of Kamala Harris, she grew up in Canada. She grew up in Canada with her Indian mother, and she's been disowned by her father, and she is married to a white guy. And Obama, his wife, definitely, I think, helped him out a lot in the primary, galvanized black voters, because initially Hillary was actually winning them in a lot of these early polls. But when people got acquainted with Obama, a lot of black primary voters liked Michelle Obama and kind of made Obama get a little bit more street cred. He worked in the south side of Chicago. Harris worked in San Francisco. It's where all the white liberals are, maybe some Asian people. Like the neighborhoods are there too. Like that's San Francisco versus Chicago. Harris doesn't have that same black appeal. She'll get black women more energized than Biden, but Harris is not like going to get Obama level black support. And Trump answered that question, I think, perfectly. He didn't say anything disparaging. He's like, she claimed she was Indian, and now all of a sudden she turned black. And he says, I respect either one, which is, it's funny. And when he wins, it'll be played in the highlight reel. If he wins. It's not a guarantee, but I think he's the favorite. But this is what happens when you run two candidates in a primary against each other that share similar views compared to the other one. They end up splitting the vote, and you're seeing what's going on. 40% for Mike, about 53% for the other two. There's no runoffs in Missouri. Let's see if there's any in Cori Bush's district. Do we have anything? Let's see. Yeah, she's going to lose. She's going to lose 64-33. 18% of the vote is in. Yeah, no, she's cooked. It's over. It's over for Cori Bush. It's over for her. She'll join the squad. They're getting rid of the squad like crazy. Like AOC gets to hold on. Ilhan Omar might even hold on. Let's actually check Michigan. Because I think that, aren't they primarying or trying to primary out Rashida Tlaib? How is she? Oh, she's, okay, actually, she's uncontested, so they didn't beat her. But that's something. Let's check the super chats. Ryan Amaker says, we all know the real Dem ticket is Obama only. I don't know what that means. Trevor Hint says Dems will vote blue no matter who, while some Republicans won't vote for the candidate for stupid and ridiculous reasons. It's true. It's not as bad in the real world, but you're right. I mean, Democrats on social media know how to mobilize. Republicans don't. Does it translate one-to-one in the real world? No. But over time, it will more and more, and Republicans not getting their act together on social media is not helping out the case. Doesn't mean that's going to determine the outcome of the election, because social media is far, even with the detractors, far more pro-Trump than before. Just some of these people just need to be blocked. Don't engage with them. They're insane. I mean, in the real world, DeSantis supporters all went to Trump in the primary instead of Haley. On social media, half of them still won't support him because they're bitter. They lost. It's like the primary ended 7 months ago. It's a problem. Yeah, people need to vote red no matter what, because, I mean, the left does it. They get everything they want. The far left gets everything they want. They just are changing who the mouthpieces for the far left are. Jim says, God bless DJT. Completely random question. What's your favorite cologne? It's an interesting one. There's a couple answers. It's not a super chat I planned on answering, but there's a few of them. I don't even know the exact names of them, to be honest, though. Let's see. That one, Politics, says, I checked Polymarket. Harris flip Wisconsin. Pennsylvania went down a bit, but it's at 53 or 52% Harris. Michigan is at 62% Harris. Yeah, don't react to the betting odds like they are meaning something. They called it for both Rogers and Slotkin, by the way. But the betting markets are going to react to the polls, plain and simple. I mean, that's what they're doing. And that's why Trump was gaining in them. And honestly, if you feel like Trump's going to win, feel free to go. If you can bet, I would consider it. How much money did one of my friends make for telling him this past weekend, put down whatever you can on Josh Shapiro not being the nominee? Everybody said I was crazy, but he was at like 80%, and he was not the nominee. So, again, these things happen. Minnesota, it's at like 92, 93% for Kamala. I think that's too lofty as well. Because, I mean, I think that, yeah, she probably wins Minnesota, but 92%? Like, Trump's at 88 in Florida. Florida is going to be much more of a lopsided win than Minnesota as things stand right now. Yeah, actually, wait. It went back to 50-50 in Pennsylvania. So the betting markets are not exactly the best indicator, all things considered. Samuel Harrison says, who do you think Rufus is going to vote for? Probably Trump, but he'll just whine nonstop because, I don't know, that's how he likes to operate for some reason. This guy was around in 2016 on a different forum, and if I read you his electoral takes back then, you would have just burst out laughing. So it's not like he's been accurate either. He had the same midterm prediction as mine, except one race for the governorships, and then he pretends like he got everything right. It's like, no, you did not get everything right. You got most of it wrong. Ryan Mocker says the only new Harris voters were the 2020 Biden voters that were planning on staying home only if Biden was the nominee in 2024. I agree, but that's why we need to get out and vote and make sure that we get our voter base out, because that's the thing. I think Trump is like a one-man ground game just because people love him so much. Polite Rude Guy says, don't get complacent, vote Trump, then pray. It's true. Mad World says, you want to see a group of new Harris voters go to the cemetery? Well, yeah, that'll do it. Although they're not new. Those are not new voters. Well, some of them might be new if they recently arrived. Let's see. Bearded Talk says, can Trump win without the Rust Belt? How to stop stealing blue Dem lead states and counties. Is 2020 data legit? Well, pretend like it's legit, because if that's legit and we say, well, if look at Michigan, like we need to flip 2% or flip whatever to win, it's going to be better off than like, oh, well, we're going to be fine regardless because there's going to be fewer like magic ballots or whatever. No, we have to take the results at face value. Some people get mad when I do it, but I don't care because I want to win. But can Trump win without the Rust Belt was the first question. And the answer is yes. I think it's unlikely. But I think the way to go out there and limit any magic ballots is just get more ballots for ourselves, harvest more of our own. Rachel Anderson for 20 says, I was saying Walz is a beta, not an alpha. Lol. I think I understood that. He's going to be crushed. I've never seen a Prez and VP ticket in history that sucks so bad. Their focus is to murder babies, allow open borders, and continue trafficking. Yeah, that's the thing. Because the difference is Trump and Vance, they can only say, Vance insulted cat ladies. Who likes cat ladies? That's the thing. Like, it's true. And if you watch the clip, he said people that don't have kids for, medical reasons or whatever, he said he empathizes with them and whatnot. But the truth is that I don't think it's a good thing for people to willingly and voluntarily be childless cat ladies. It's not a good thing. And I also don't think that it's a good thing to put those people in power. And that's essentially what Kamala Harris does not have. I mean, she doesn't even have kids of her own. She was too busy using her body to advance her career. This is the thing. People say, you can't say that. No, I think you can. If they can make up stories about J.D. Vance and his sex life with the couch, which is not real, why can't we tell the truth that Kamala Harris got to where she is because of her sex life with Willie Brown? Because one of those things is true. One of those things is not true. You're allowed to talk about Trump's sex life and claim he gets indicted over it. You can't mention Harris's because apparently she's a woman. And it's like, if you want to roll with the big dogs and have this equality nonsense, whatever, you have to take the same hits. And you can't take the same hits because you're using, no, it doesn't work that way. That's what cowards do. You can't take your record on the chin. Trump never used his body to advance his career. Kamala Harris did. That's the difference, plain and simple. In fact, Trump and some of the things regarding women probably have hurt his career more than they've helped his career, but that's beside the point. Vericum Parasis says, what's your opinion of sites like Predicted has Kamala now at 55? That can't be right. Well, if the polls go back to where they were a month from now, Trump's going to be the favorite again. Betting markets on election nights even are atrocious, period. Oh, well, if there's a dump in one county and it's like an error, then you see people buy shares and then they sell them off. It's how it works. Betting markets aren't perfect. People put their money, I mean, I'm not saying it's nothing, because it's true. People are going to put their money on Harris, but they've been very wrong before. Very wrong. LinRx52 for 20 says, FYI, in case it matters to you, I share your feeds across 7 platforms today. Your feed doesn't display on Facebook, not on Getter either, but that's not as unusual. Well, I don't know why it's not showing on Facebook, but again, it's true. Meta has been censoring certain things, and they were caught. They're like, it's an error. And maybe it's an error. But again, why is this not happening the other way is the real question. Plain and simple. So ME for 10 says, silent no more. We need to save our country. Trump, Vance, true. Quiet Rioter says, 2016 taught us the polls can be wrong. You want to know who's got the best odds of winning? Look at the betting odds. Well, the betting odds also had Hillary Clinton winning. That's the problem. I mean, the polls and the betting odds, it's true. Betting odds can be more accurate. In some states they were, but betting odds are not perfect or ideal either. Some states are 60-40. 40%, you roll a die and you get a 1 or a 2. That's like 33%. So again, I would disagree with the notion that they're more accurate, but they're not the be-all and end-all. They can be more accurate than polls. Polite Rude Guy says, I bet 300 on Trump unpredicted easy. Well, I hope it's easy money. I would hope. See, that's the thing. This election's not over. It's not over either way. Trump's not guaranteed to win because there's a response bias, and Harris is not guaranteed to lose because she's only up because of response bias. But I don't want to see people freak out and then lose their cool about how we should handle the election and then just reset everything for no reason. Because there's no way Harris, even with the media, she didn't go from -10 to +10 or -20 to +10 overnight in favorability. It's impossible, but Trump somehow wins independence. It's not even crosstab diving. It's just a plain malpractice. There's a difference. If they pulled the same exact people, you would not see the same thing happening. Maybe Harris would gain, but it'd be more with like undecideds coming home that probably were going to vote for Biden anyways. I mean, plain and simple. Trump just needs to get the message on the airwaves, period. So let's see. The Iranian Putin gifted 1 membership. Thank you. Also says, thanks for the coverage tonight, brother. Well, thank you for the super chat and gifting the membership as well. That One Politics says, what would you do if Harris wins Carolina? I assume you mean North Carolina. Well, that would probably mean Trump's going to lose because that's like the one swing state. Look, it's very unlikely that she does, and then the election is close, or that Trump flips another state, unless he just really runs it up with Hispanics in the Southwest for some reason. I don't think it's likely. The state party in North Carolina is very competent. The Republicans basically have been running the state, despite not even having the governorship. It's not exactly going to zoom right off a cliff, but I think Trump is going to hold it. Roy Cooper being on that ticket, if it was going to be that close, might have been worth it for Harris because he's less controversial than Walz. He's close to Harris. He would turn off voters on the far left probably a tad less than Shapiro. He's boring. That's kind of what Harris was going for, but she chose boring with baggage. You don't want boring with baggage. And Shapiro, honestly, he's like kind of exciting and moderate, but also with baggage. So let's see. Ash K2 says, when Vance called out Walz for supporting trans kids, so many posts with thousands of likes painted him as weird, creepy, or being obsessed with kids' private parts. How are we supposed to counter? Well, I think we counter by not putting stock into Twitter likes. There are going to be people who hate Vance. There are going to be people who hate Trump. It doesn't matter. Bernie Sanders in the primary, 100,000 likes every tweet, like got decimated. Biden didn't have much enthusiasm. Because like I said, the real world is not the internet. There's going to be a lot of people with a lot of likes on certain tweets. And then, again, where was Nikki Haley Twitter? Nikki Haley had better in the primary than Ron DeSantis. DeSantis' Twitter was everywhere. There was no Twitter for Nikki Haley supporters. Virtually none, period. So, I mean, I'm not exactly worried about that. They're going to ratio. And honestly, I think some of the likes in some of these tweets have been botted. Because ever since Harris has entered the race, I have seen a lot more ratios than usual. But again, they hide who likes tweets now. And they might remove the like button altogether, I heard. But it is true, people do bot. People have been caught for botting recently. Some of these tweets get like thousands of likes in the first minute. That's not normal, period. So it's not really be all and end all. Rachel Anderson says, as a Southerner, we were all offended by the fake Southern accent at her Atlanta rally, which ended up being 68 people. Guess being of Indian descent ends now. Well, that rally, I think, had more people because everyone was there for the rapper that she brought. But other than that, it's like, yeah, no, she's not exactly bringing much enthusiasm. Today, she did have a lot of people because it was in Philadelphia, had the VP announcement. You had a few stars in the Democrat Party there. But even so, Trump had more people in that arena than she did. It was like 70% empty. And that's in inner city Philadelphia. So, I don't know. At a college, nonetheless. At a college. You probably had a few professors that took people, oh, today we're going to do this for extra credit, and people go. I'm not even kidding. That they would do stuff like that. They can, I think. Legally, they can. Exactly says, doubling down on the far left with Walz is a shock to me. Are they really worried about Minnesota? They have already lost at that point badly. I don't think they're worried about Minnesota. I think that they just have this notion, oh, well, Shapiro's going to hurt us because he likes Israel and happens to be Jewish, which that's literally what they're saying. It's not even a joke. Intersectionality is just completely blown up their coalition. But when it comes down to the whole pick, Shapiro probably doesn't help out in Michigan or Wisconsin. It's not necessarily because of the Israel stuff either, but it's just because of the fact that he is more coastal. You know, he definitely is somebody that probably has more appeal in a place like Georgia than a place like Wisconsin. He's not like a Rust Belt guy. He just ran up against a weak candidate and then another weak candidate and then an even weaker candidate and was able to get by. So I think that they see Walz, will help us out across the board with the white working class. The only problem is the white working class rejected him soundly in 2022. I mean, it's not going to translate well. And he's number 2. He's not number 1 on the ticket. If he was number 1 on the ticket, it still wouldn't work out too well. But I was kind of surprised. I was worried Democrats might try something like have their number 1 be the most generic guy possible, stick him in the basement, and then just ramp up the turnout operation. Harris isn't exactly doing that. He got the worst of both of them. So, we'll see. Secede North Carolina says no way Trump loses North Carolina. We have voter ID required now. We'll see. Bomani Igloo says, how is it polls who have Trump down that actually released their internal show winning independents, young people, and minorities by double digits over 2020 performance, but down overall? It's fishy. Well, I don't like to cross-tab dive. I'm going to be consistent about that. But it is saying something that the samples are shifting. The amount of people that identify as liberal are higher in poll after poll after poll. That is not natural. Okay, that's not a natural occurrence. The CBS poll was actually not even that bad, in my opinion. Everyone's freaking out about that, but it's like Trump would still win in the Electoral College with that poll. Even with the Marist poll, I still think he could. I mean, you have, 51-48, but you look into that poll, it is not looking good overall. I mean, you look at this. Let me see if they have the crosstabs. I got to find the crosstabs for Trump v. Harris because they have them. I might put it up on the screen, but you guys probably aren't going to read it because my little mouse pad thing on my computer that would be able to zoom in quickly kind of stopped working. So I got to take it in and get it fixed probably tomorrow. But yeah, you talk about those that have a favorable view of Kamala Harris. She's down 5 among independents in that department. But you look at this and kind of showcases, yeah, there's no way she's polling at this level altogether. Plain and simple. She's not more popular with white voters than Donald Trump. Nobody believes that in their right mind, period. It's virtually impossible. And the sample we see, not only are they sampling liberal whites, they're sample 63% white. You might see an electorate that's 68% white. You're not seeing an electorate that's 63% white. I'm just going to be honest here. It's just virtually impossible. It does not add up whatsoever. So, but let me see if I can get the top line crosstabs. Do they have the top line? I don't know, but Marist is a far left poll anyways. And when they polled adults, it's a tie still, 48-48. They have Harris, I guess, up by 1, and then they weight it somehow so Harris is up by 3. But Trump is only down 5 he's down 5 with Hispanics. He's at 25 with blacks. He's only winning whites by 8. Again, crosstabs are crosstabs. But still, it just doesn't make sense. I think this is more of a liberal independent sample. Ice Cream Junkie says, think Mark Robinson flips North Carolina's governorship red. He could. It depends on the presidential margin, honestly. It depends on that. Because it's possible that they could flip it. I just think that Trump would have to win by like 4. And that's possible. But they like to split tickets. Robinson is controversial enough to the point where some people will split tickets. I do think he's got a clear shot at victory. It's not impossible by any means. It's not. But what can I say? We'll go back to Missouri where, yeah, Democrats for their governorship, it's probably going to be Crystal Quaid. But Republicans are going to win this no matter who wins the nomination. But probably Mike Key, again, I don't even know how to pronounce it, still. Well, let's see. Going down the AG race, Andrew Bailey. Let's check there's amendments. Yeah, increased police funding already, despite having a more Democrat electorate in. Yes is winning. So, yeah, Hoskins is up now. Gomez is in third to last place with 7.2%, not winning a county. That's brutal. But it's not unexpected at all to anybody who is understanding of politics outside of social media. Let's go look at Michigan, any of these House races. Paul Young, yeah, he's going to win that. Huizenga's going to win in the 4th. Every other race has been called, it seems. Democrat side, seems like they have their clear favorite for the 8th district already in. There's some primaries on the left, but a lot of them aren't going anywhere. Carl Marlinga, he's I think he's the guy that ran against James last time. He might lose his primary, but either way, John James and the redder electorate that we're about to see is going to have no issue because, I mean, he actually goes and does things in the metro area that win over more independents. Whether he's kind of been a letdown or not is irrelevant to that point. I mean, he's going to win big. I see him on all these sports podcasts just talking like a regular person that a lot of people in Metro Detroit watch. I mean, the guy makes the rounds in the local media in underrated ways. Let's see. Let's go to let's see. Okay, actually Rogers is now winning every county. That's probably going to stay the same throughout the night unless there's some, I don't think anybody has a tie to the UP. Let's see. Exactly, says Trump overperforms his polling with white voters just every single time. Every time. Clay Franklin says Walz is less photogenic than Kelly or Shapiro and isn't from a true swing state. It's a subpar move from the Harris campaign. Yeah, I mean, Shapiro, people make fun of him because he's short. But, I mean, at the end of the day, he is taller than Harris. So, and Mark Kelly, I mean, yeah, when you're less photogenic than somebody who's like bald, it's kind of a self-own at that point. Ash K2 says to win suburbanites, should we drop the trans issue? No, I don't think so. If those are the suburbanites that you're losing, you're not winning them. Period. Those are liberals. Suburbanites, I think that the suburban trend in part is because you have different demography in the suburbs, not necessarily just racial demography, but you have millennials that graduated from college, they'll move to the suburbs, they're further to the left, and you have a lot of older people in the suburbs that are either moving out, moving to Florida, which their suburbs are getting redder, dying out, you name it. There's a lot of factors there, but no, I think that it's not a big issue. I don't think that you can only run a campaign on that issue. I don't think that we are running a campaign on that issue much at all. But it is true that most people disapprove of the transgender movement and a lot of the things like the sports issue of women's sports. Again, it's not a big issue in a lot of people's eyes, but I mean, it is a problem. You have people that are cutting off the genitals of children. Even in some cases, they make it happen without parental consent. People like Tim Walz think that's okay. I think that's weird, to be honest. I think it's a little bit past weird. I think it's creepy. It's unconscionable. It's satanic. Joseph Valls has voted Eigel Bailey in Missouri. Who did we want? Well, Eigel, I think I've heard is the best in Missouri. But the problem is with Missouri is that you have two candidates who are seen as solid and they're eating the vote of each other, while the weakest option of the three gets to just coast to victory. Perth Luxury. Is it true that Kamala is afraid of a little Fox News debate? Maybe the next presidential debate should have an audience be hosted on One American News. So she'll reject that for sure. But I mean, Fox News is fair, relatively. I mean, it's right-leaning. Doesn't mean it's not fair. I mean, we've seen debates on Fox before that have been properly conducted. I mean, you look at things that Jake Tapper and Dana Bash said about Trump. I mean, they're very crazy things, but they handled themselves well. Same thing goes for Kristen Welker when she handled the debate with Trump and Biden in 2020. I thought it was a fair debate. I thought Trump won the debate. So Harris, I think, is afraid, but I think Trump is laying down the trap for her. He'll show up. He'll get a packed arena, basically do a rally/town hall. Harris won't be there. And then he'll probably show up at that debate on ABC. And then they should be doing 3, to be fair. There were always 3. I know the parties aren't with the Presidential Debate Commission anymore, but they should really be doing 3. Let's see. Punch a Bunch Bear says, I hope the suburbs will turn into a shithole if she wins. Well, I don't hope that on our country, to be honest. And honestly, if it's going to take, it probably takes a lot to wake some people up. But if what's happening now isn't going to do it, I don't know what will. And it's not a Trump thing. People will say it's because Donald Trump is the Republican candidate and he's unpopular. they're going to make any Republican candidate that's worth a damn unpopular. Even ones that aren't worth a damn, they've made unpopular. Trump's the only Republican to win an election since 2004 at the presidential level. And I don't really think that things are going to be well for other Republicans if they're going to allow this unfettered immigration to enter the country. It's not going to bode well for them either. That's what they don't understand. Some people, we'll just wait until 2028. There won't be a 2028. That's not even fear-mongering because it's true. I mean, 4 years is a very long time, period. Very long time. So Trump is probably the most electable Republican in the country as things stand right now. He has a cult following, and that's a good thing. Because if you don't have a cult following, how are you going to get voters out to vote for you? I guess the difference with Trump is he's developed the anti-cult, but the anti-cult is just the left. They're the anti-cult as things stand now. I mean, there's no other way to chalk it up. They've been that way for a while. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And maybe it's actually gotten a little bit better over the past year or so. But there's no 2028 if you don't win 2024. I'm not saying there won't be an election. I'm just saying there's a very unlikely chance you win it. And you're not going to rebuild the Republican Party by pushing Trump aside either. I'm not saying he should run again. I don't think he should. I don't think he will. I don't think he'll do that to his legacy. But if you push out the movement as a whole, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. And that's what they don't seemingly understand. Because if you push the movement out aside, you're screwed. If you have the movement without Trump, that's 2022, by the way. People honestly keep saying, if Trump isn't without Trump, that's actually probably the least electable in a way, unless you have a turnout operation, because the left does, we don't, period. And Trump energizes voters who don't know how to vote, or they know how to vote, but they don't vote in these other elections as much. Obama did the same for the Democrats, and his party got decimated in a lot of these elections. When during his tenure, they lost a Senate seat in Massachusetts by a decent amount. They lost how many House seats? Part of it was they were at their peak. But if you compare the Trump years to the Obama years and after, the Democrats got decimated far more than the Republicans did. Nobody's going to say that Obama ruined the chances for the Democrats. Nobody's saying any of that. And if Trump does win, he's going to have a trifecta. He's going to have he'll have even more pull in regards to the Supreme Court. It's crazy. Ash K2 says long-term goals, Harris wins and then Republicans rebranded this. No, we're not doing that. This is the problem. Why are people... You're writing off an election that you're still objectively favored in. You're taking an L. It's like trolling with this guy. He's trolling. He's giving money to troll. It's funny. Everyone in chat is just losing their minds. But no, here's the deal, is that you want them to... And this guy said he wants them to lose in 2028 as well. You're not going to do that. And rebranding to the center? Really? You think that's going to win over people? No, in many ways, they are the center party on certain social issues, because America's very left-leaning on social issues. Nobody wants to admit it. But on economic issues, I think Trump has, in some ways, moved it to the more nationalistic side, the more, I would say, center-friendly side. That's the thing. Especially with the VP pick, you have two populists on the ticket. You did not have that before. We'll see how that plays out. But the difference is right-wing populism is actually popular in terms of economic policy, whereas this far-left Harris-Walz policy is not popular. Immigration is something I think we're not far right enough on, especially with how public opinion is moving on immigration. Same thing to an extent with crime. We need strong leadership. This center stuff, why would I vote for the center if the center is not going to do anything? You're going to become the Conservative Party of Canada. They don't win anything. In fact, they had to move to the right a little bit with the new guy to win against somebody as unpopular as Trudeau. And that's even still not a guarantee. So, that's the thing. The American people are just stupid. You're not going to reason with these people, period. The establishment is not going to even consider a center Republican Party center. That's the issue. That's why Trump's winning independents, even in the polls he's losing ground in, is because he's the reasonable one on so many topics. There's not a single issue you can look at him and say he's wrong about this. I mean, that's not to say that he hasn't made statements that I disagree with on certain issues, but they don't necessarily represent him in governance, or I'd say around 95% of the time. Let's see. Let's go to, was it Missouri? We're already in Missouri. Nothing's really changing in Missouri. I guess Washington results are going to be pouring in an hour. I guess we could stay on that long, but it's not like we're going to see too much out of the ordinary there. But Dave M for $50, biggest super chat of the night. Thank you, Dave. Says Trump needs to focus on the issues. The attack on Kemp was not cool. The people that voted for Kemp that lived there, it reminds some people why they don't like him. More discipline, focus on issues. I don't think the attack on Kemp is going to really hurt him very much because people already kind of have forgotten about it. But I will say that I think the attack on Duncan is far more warranted. But here's the deal with Kemp, is that Kemp's wife comes out and says, I'm not voting for Trump. I'm writing in my husband, which is a dumb move, period. Now, do I think that attacking the governor is going to help him? No. But like there is a two-way street. These people know how Trump operates. If they actually want to win, they're not going to be doing this. They're not going to be doing this behavior either. So that's why Trump went in on Kemp. Now, is he still going to go on Kemp a week from now or the next time he's in Georgia? It's not. It's a waste of time, honestly. But he probably was going to say something about it. And they're like, how dare he say this? His wife said that she's not voting for him against Kamala Harris. And Kemp is out here saying, this was a low blow. We're gonna defeat Kamala Harris. He's weak. He's overrated. But I get the sentiment, though. I understand. You have to be smart about it. And there are ways to wedge it in a smarter way. But I think Trump is just going to go full on just the attack mode as it stands right now. And then later on, he'll regroup the final month. And then he'll pull himself as message-friendly as possible, like he always does, and then go out there and win. But he's been very disciplined for a long time. I'll say that. I feel like now he's more off the cuff. I think it's because the shooting, they kind of got to him a little bit, where he's just like, no, every day, it's the final day. But again, he's not going to want to see his numbers slip. So if his numbers really slip a month from now, where there'd be a wear off of the response bias, it would kind of be something to look into. But DePweb for 2 says so true. Well, thank you. Jay Jazz says love your channel. What is your opinion of Black Conservative Perspectives election coverage? Do you feel he is right? I don't know. I haven't paid attention. I'm aware of the channel. I just don't know what he said, so I can't answer your question. But I do thank you for the super chat. Anyways, but no, I don't know. I don't know what he said about it. But I mean, I see a lot of bad takes, not from YouTube, but from people on social media, Twitter. Twitter's going to get worse because there's a good chance the response bias gets worse, and that's going to make Twitter worse for sure. Or maybe not. We'll see. Give it a week or two. But I think that you probably see about 1 or 2% shift. Ash K2 says, maybe young people see Republicans as weird due to our stance on abortion and transgenders, etc. I'm concerned that's why we need to rebrand. Well, look, here's the deal. Young people in general don't know their head from their rear end, and they never do. All the millennials that voted for Obama, when you look at the millennial demographic, Republicans made a lot of gains in the midterms in some places with them because of it. Trump's going to probably set a record for the young vote. That's plain and simple. Younger voters are very polarized. They're either very, very right-wing or they're very, very left-wing. It's mainly not, it's not even on racial lines as much as people think. It's on gender lines is a big part of it too. And obviously racial lines, it is on racial lines, but no, I want a nationalist movement. I want a actual conservative in power, period. And I think 40 to 50% of this generation agrees. There's a lot of lunatics on the other side. You're not reaching those people. They call Mitt Romney a fascist. They called John McCain a fascist. They called Bush Hitler. They called all these people all these names. They were never voting for Republicans. You're never going to win these people, period. I mean, plain and simple. Donald Trump does black outreach, similar thing. They say, you can't say black jobs, that's racist. If Biden said it, nobody would care. They'd be praising him for it. And that's the problem, is that, again, we have to reach our voter demographics, but young people are not as cucked as people think. They're moving to the right, actually. A lot of young people in certain parts of social media are very right-wing, period. Plain and simple. You're not going to... Caving to the left isn't going to win us very many elections. I think abortion messaging from the Republicans is smart. Democrats have to lie about our views just so they can one-up. So young people, in general, again, very slim portion of the electorate, not even 10%, but they're already moving right. I don't think changing the direction the GOP is going in is going to fix anything. I mean, a lot of young people are either very right-wing, very MAGA, or they're communists. There's very few in between. There's not a lot of young neocons or center-left people. A lot of the young people are in one side or the other, or they're apolitical. Let's get disaffected young men who are apolitical over to our side. We're going to win the election, not cave on abortion any more than we already have, not move to the left on immigration, because I feel like and I think on foreign policy, Trump is probably popular with this generation. Some of the more Palestine crowd think Trump is probably like too interventionist regarding the Israel stuff and whatnot, but let's be real. Jason Kelly says Kamala's polling baffles and scares me. Well, I think that people need to chill. I said it from the get-go. I said she might take a 5-point lead. I mean, just because of the way polls and response bias works. If you think that the average voter that was hating her, 20% of the people disapproving went to approving in a lot of these polls, that does not happen. It just doesn't happen at all. I mean, and the polls moved like by a couple points in general, but it's deeper than that. It's deeper. Somebody said Missouri's first. Is anything changing? Because Cori Bush is losing last I checked. And, she's catching up, actually. She's catching up. We'll see. Where are the votes in? Okay, St. Louis City, which is where a lot of the votes are coming in for Bush, but the suburbs are for Bell. So it's just like Jamal Bowman's district, where the Bronx voted for him narrowly, but the Westchester portion went full-on establishment left. And you're seeing the same thing here. So maybe that changes, but Bush is catching up. But I think Bell's probably going to win. You would think. You would think so. Let's see this. Let's go back here. Michigan. Nothing's new out of Michigan. Washington polls close in 58 minutes. I don't even know if we're going to be on for that long, but we'll see. Shin Godzilla for 10 says, we just need to relax. Harris is getting her honeymoon bump. And even then, she's not doing great, except from very two suspect polls. Morning consult and cost. Trump is still in a good position. I agree. This is the thing. People overreact to polling shifts that are not natural. Because if you look at the Trump v. Biden polls, in the Trump v. Harris polls 2 or 3 weeks ago, Harris was doing about not even a point better, which, is kind of expected. She might have some people get on board that didn't like Biden. But now she takes a national lead. It's not natural. It's statistically arguably impossible in some of these polls, the shift we've seen. And it might have been because we had a Republican response bias before, and now there's a liberal one. Because you had the convention, you had the assassination attempt, you had just the Biden debate performance that was hell for Democrats. But I mean, it is true. I don't even think that debate performance changed a ridiculous amount of minds. Maybe 1% of Biden supporters flipped to Trump. I mean, that's a 2-point net gain. But how many of those people even go back to Kamala? Even if they all do, Trump would still, he'd still have a lead. I am Charles says Trump should say when Kamala called kids stupid. There's a lot of material. She said not to say Merry Christmas. I mean, it's insane. DePueb says, I think America has a good chance to become great again, but what do you think about Western countries like Canada, the UK, and France? I feel like they have it worse and they might not make it. Oh, no, they have it way worse. There's not like a right-wing culture in general that was in place in a lot of those countries, at least in the same way we had one. So, yeah. Let's see. But either way, I mean, you look at a lot of these polls, and they still have Trump winning the election. That's the thing. Everyone wants to act like they don't. But there is something to the response bias theory. I recommend watching Richard Barris's show. He breaks it down. And he's been more accurate than most pollsters. And people like to pretend that he's not. But he has been. If you look at the 2020 election, spot on. 2021, spot on. 2018, spot on. 2016, 2014, even 2012, spot on. 2022, he wasn't even nearly as off as a lot of people were, because he only pulled 2 states in the general. He was off in the primary, but I mean, he was off less in some of these primaries than most other polls were. I mean, you could maybe debate, oh, we shouldn't have said this candidate's less electable at this point or whatever, but that's not the point. Barris gets a lot of hate that he doesn't deserve, plain and simple. He got Georgia for the most part right in the general. He said Kemp by 7, he won by 8. He said Walker by 1, he lost by half a point in the first round. You look at, I think he got the runoff too, and I think he got the runoffs in Georgia in 2021 or 2020, that cycle. He got those right. He got, I think the Pennsylvania he got wrong. But again, turnout was not on our side and the poll was late. There is that, again, response bias that benefited Republicans late in some of these states in 2022. So do the math on that one. Because they weren't polling generic ballots in those states, because the generic ballots in the states were Republican. Not by much, but they were. Liam Granville says Tim Walz's pronouns are DUI/BLM. Yeah, I think the DUI thing is stupid to attack him for that, but the record of him in St. Paul is awful. Jason Kelly says, I'm just worried that the Harris honeymoon can last until Election Day. That is an issue. We'll see how it moves. How accurate do you think the polls will be, and will they be close? Well, if the Harris honeymoon lasts, I think the polls will overestimate Harris. I'll say that. But I do think that it just comes down to energy. How well are they going to do with that? I'm not changing my prediction from the last video as things stand today. There's no reason to. Pax Techum for 5 says, love your work, man. Found you a few weeks ago. Thanks, algorithm. Trump Vance 24. We in Kansas have your back. Well, thank you for the support. We got a lot of new people. We're almost to 200,000. Everybody needs to like the stream. Everybody needs to subscribe to the channel. Make sure they do that, because we are 200 subs away from 193. We got to keep going. We got to hit 200K as soon as we can. We're in election season. I'd like to hit it by sometime in September, but I'd like to even hit it sooner if we possibly can. I was out of town for a few days. I wasn't able to keep up with the whole content grind, but now I'm back, and tomorrow we're going to start uploads daily. We'll do shorts in the mix as well. The last few shorts we've done have been really popping off as well compared to the shorts from like a month ago. So those are good too. There's a lot of new content. It's election season. We got to definitely kick things into full gear. And if we could hit 200K by the end of this month, that would be huge. So we got a lot of people, 2,300 people. I know there's a couple hundred people here not subscribed yet. And if you want to use the live chat, you can if you subscribe. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you want the daily upload notifications, not going to hold you to it, but I'd prefer you guys hit the bell. But let's see, we got a lot of people Got a lot of people in the chat subscribing. That's good too. Kansas, again, nothing statewide in Kansas. Washington, we have the Senate primary, which again, they do the jungle primary. I don't know who is Good Space Guy. That's just one word, one name. Good Space Guy. Okay, interesting. He'll win. He'll get 50% tonight. No, probably not. But let's see. I don't even know who I think Garcia's the Republican that's in the running, and then Reichert, and you have Semi-Bird. So it's going to be one of these two. We'll go to the runoff. I think Reichert's probably got the best shot from what I've heard. He polls better. I don't know much about Semi-Bird, so I can't really speak on that. But a lot of these elections, like the 3rd district, and again, they do mail-in ballots, so we probably get the first dump in, but we'll also see Joe Kent doesn't have that primary this time. That's super divisive. We'll see if it works out in his favor. I think if Trump wins that district, he wins that district. MGP is another lunatic. Not really fit for that district, but what can I say? Jakarta Blue for 2. Thank you. Gerald Armstrong for 5 says Walz is a clown, stolen valor, got out as an E8, touts being a sergeant major, left troops before they went to Iraq, total buffoonery. I know. I mean, these people, they did everything they could do to ruin the career of, what's his name? J.R. Majewski ran for Congress in Ohio. They tarnished his reputation with lies. This is egregious. VP nominee, oh, it's fine, doesn't matter, because Vance is, I don't know, said something about certain demographic. It's ironic because you see him today at the event in Pennsylvania. I don't know if he's talking to a reporter or addressing a reporter. There was a woman that just like yelled out, "This cat lady loves you." It's funny. It's good optics too. It's good optics. It starts a conversation. Look, Trump. What did Trump say about rapists coming from Mexico? They said he's going to lose with Hispanics. He did better than Mitt Romney at the lowest Democrat margin for a Hispanic since 2004. He did even better. Let's see. All New Year 24 says, I thought we didn't like Joe Kent anymore. Well, he had a couple iffy comments about like religion and stuff that didn't sit well with me, but he's probably, if he gets into Congress, he's going to be a good congressman. I think that he just didn't handle a certain situation the best that he could. But what can I say? I don't have a problem with him. And I didn't like his campaign manager from his last campaign, who trashed me in private group chats. And I think that he's probably not, I don't think he's working on this campaign either. He's like got the reverse Midas touch, ruins everything he touches, just like Kamala Harris. But it's okay. Like, he's probably not my favorite congressman, but he's not gonna be awful. Ash K2 says Walz and Swift Mobile. Nobody in this generation knows who Tim Walz is. Okay, let's be real. Taylor Swift being political. I mean, I've written an article on my website about why this is not going to have the impact people think it has. It's not. She endorsed Biden. She endorsed candidates that lost in 2018. I mean, she's got a cult following. It's true. But there are a lot of conservative, young, or Republican young women that like Taylor Swift. I mean, just because somebody has politics doesn't mean that they're doing that. And it's funny because the Harris campaign, they're really trying to coalesce behind this, using this one music artist. I think it's like Charlie XCX. I don't even know how to pronounce her name or whatever, but it's like the whole brat meme aesthetic. It's all online stuff. I mean, she will do better with Gen Z than Biden. I agree, because she will mobilize. But I don't think Taylor Swift being political is something that's going to help. And I don't think Taylor Swift wants to be super political. She'll probably endorse Harris in a statement, and then that's it. But like, she did a voter registration drive for Biden, and then we looked at the numbers. It netted maybe a couple thousand votes across the entire country, had no impact on the election at the end of the day. And Trump is reaching into the culture too. I mean, he has celebrities endorsing him. Slayers Gaming says, Red Eagle Politics, how is Trump going to counter the 3 a.m. ballot dumping? I know it's become a meme, but I'm certain it probably we just have to have enough ballots to the point where it's not going to be enough. And we need more people voting early as well. I mean, I will say about Michigan is at 17%, 19%. It's a primary. It would be 10 o'clock on the East Coast 3 months from yesterday, and we'd be at 12% in Michigan. And judging from the totals, Democrats would probably be in the lead, just given how the early vote goes. But again, I tell people vote early, because if you can't vote, if you can't make it on election day and there's a weather issue or you're sick, like, you will not be able to vote. If you know how you're going to vote, you should vote as soon as possible. Now, some people will say, I don't trust it. You can track your vote. That's the thing. Track your vote, period. There's a non-super chat that I will read because it's a genius statement. Vote Trump for all Americans says the biggest problem with basing your candidacy on terminally online memes is that memes die. And that's also true. If you want to carry this, like, even the Kamala Harris meme is like the brat meme. It's like from summertime. And most of the people that resonate with it can't even, they're not old enough to vote. Trying to reach out to Zoomers, half the Zoomer generation's under the age of 18. It's not like you're necessarily, adding people to your column by focusing on that demographic that even a good portion of culturally can't even vote, period. But yeah, it's true. Memes die. And again, to the old people, it's like they see, wait, Kamala Harris is a brat? Like, she's like, what, spoiled brat or something? I mean, she is. She's entitled. She's been handed everything without merit in her life. I think it's a perfect name for Kamala Harris. It's just not a name that's positive to 90% of the population. Let's see, world's smartest R-tard. We'll reel it in for monetization purposes. Says, what about 2026? Could it be the last hope if Harris wins? I mean, it depends, dude. The party's going to be so battered at that point. I don't want to think about that, but yeah, they'll try to get Trump out of the way, and they'll do even worse, and then they'll still blame him for losing. Like, it's gonna be bad, man. It's gonna be bad. But who knows? Who knows? Citrus Peppercorn says AIPAC took out another Justice Dem. I saw it. It's funny to watch these far left people lose, but at the same time, there is something to it where it's like, they help us. They help us look better by being there. The left will prop up certain people for that reason. The right's not going to do that. But yeah, Cori Bush, she's going to lose probably. And yeah, it is big money in politics. Like, I can sympathize. We should probably get big money out of politics. I don't think Bowman lost because of AIPAC in and of itself, because he was losing in the polls before they gave the opponent money. The fire alarm thing and his other behavior doomed him. Cori Bush, on the other hand, that might be more of a determining factor. Let's see. How did her primary go in 2022? Let me see. She won 70-30. Yeah, probably this played more of a role. Definitely. It's funny because all these people ousted incumbents, and now they're getting ousted by the establishment. It's funny. But it's true. Anyways, guys, make sure you like and subscribe. We're under like 150 away from 193K. So either way, we're probably going to hit it after the stream ends, probably tonight or tomorrow morning sometime. We got a lot of content on the way. A lot of people are paying attention and should be paying attention. We have a dogfight. We've got a game. Even though I think Trump is still easily Trump's to lose by every stretch of the term. But Kamala Harris, again, the Walz pick is a pick that they're not trying. It's more about energizing voters than trying to win. And maybe they're hoping that they will win. And then they'll have a mandate. But Trump is a uniquely strong candidate, all things considered. People want to talk about Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was regarded to be unbeatable at one point in politics. There's so much revisionist history. I mean, if Hillary Clinton was such a bad candidate, there wouldn't be election night meltdowns the way that there were. You could look back in retrospect and say that she was weak. She had issues. She wasn't popular, but Trump was more unpopular. Trump at the time was perceived to have more issues. That's the problem. So either way, 2020, Biden again. They'll say he lost a corpse or whatever. Well, they had to change the rules to barely topple him when he was an incumbent president with a subpar approval rating, especially by incumbent president standards. And you had a recession, you had people out of jobs, you had COVID. The narrative was that Trump killed 2 million people. Like, if we're going to be honest here, Trump is a very, very strong candidate. He set an all-time record vote total for a president in charge, incumbent president. Second highest vote total in history. He might even top it again. He has a movement that's growing. It's not like MAGA is losing a lot of people that were really never with it to begin with. I mean, you might have some bitter people again online, but it's not the real world. Let's see. Even Dagnaught says, having a weird feeling the media will carry Kamala like Biden in 2020 and throw her in the dumpster like Biden, rinse, repeat for 28. I mean, look, if she does win that primary, yeah, I mean, she might have a serious challenger based off of how bad things have been the past 4 years. They're going to get worse. They're going to get a lot worse. Democrats in 28, I don't know. But it is true that with amnesty, things like that, we won't have a country. It's not a joke. It's not fear-mongering. They say it is. It's not. But it is true that the establishment, I don't want to say that they will carry her, but they can. They can carry her. I mean, they can. We've seen it before. But it's not like they have the math to beat our math if we do what we're supposed to do. Because they don't. At least not right now. So you have a very strong candidate against a very untested candidate nationally. Now, either they're going to be able to successfully energize people with the untested candidate, or it's going to backfire. And the question I'd ask people that are worried or skeptical is, do you think Northeastern Pennsylvania would have preferred to vote for 2020 Biden, or would they prefer 2024 Kamala? And I think the answer is clear. I think the answer is they would prefer Biden. So again, you talk about the shifts. Kamala's going to be bleeding support in the Rust Belt across it entirely. That's why she picked Tim Walz. Again, fool's gold, not going to help her. But that's like, oh, he's Midwestern and doesn't alienate a part of the coalition. But he also alienates independents. So it's tough. But you talk about the states that pre-debate Biden was winning in. I think that Michigan is a wash. Maybe Harris even has an edge. Not uniformly, but she'll do better with black voters. She'll do better with Muslim Arabs. She will not do better with Christian Arabs, which are far higher in Michigan than you would imagine. And she won't even do better than Biden 2020 with Muslims. I mean, Tudor Dixon did better than Trump 2020 in Dearborn because Muslims are fed up with the way that the Democrats are moving, and they now realize that Trump was not going to kick all of them out of the country, just like Hispanics in 2016 with the media fear-mongering. But, Trump is tested. He got along well with Muslim leaders overseas. There were a lot of initial concerns about Trump. It's like all the people dooming now, back then, oh my God, they would literally, I don't even want to say, I think you guys can deduce it, but they would be doing things to harm themselves in ways they could not come back from. But let's see. Carol says, I enjoy watching your channel. Love your updates. Well, thank you for the support. Thank you for the super chat. Old New Year 24 says you should do a prediction by county, at least one before the election. I'd like to see your take on it. Here's what we'll do. I've thought about this. We're not going to do a full, we're going to color in every county. That would take an hour, that would take a year. We will do a county prediction for the big 7 swing states, for sure. And I think a lot of the counties are not really competitive, but I do think that there is something to the margins in each county, and do a full, like an election shuffler prediction county by county, and the Rust Belt, and then we could do one for the Sun Belt states, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. Again, there's less counties in some of those 2 states, so it's fair game to have it be where it's at. But let's see. Lovely Six says, what do you think about the Aiden Ross stream? Pretty funny. I guess. Like, I mean, I didn't see it in full. I think it's just entertaining. But I mean, I've seen Trump be entertaining so much, so it's not like, oh, well, it wasn't exceptional, but it wasn't bad. Andrew Mortensen says, I miss the Trump tweets and X. Think he'll return. I kind of hope that he'd like post some of his stuff there to have a broader reach, but probably not everything. And I'd like to see Vance tweet more, because again, the narrative against Vance is on the internet mainly. I mean, the polls don't really reflect it as much as you would think, at least in terms of the unfavorable numbers. 40s, low to mid 40s, okay. But in terms of Twitter, he's the number 2. He's got to tweet twice as much. He's got to put banger after banger. I mean, if he wants me to help him with it, go right ahead. But we'll see. Win 300 Mag 180 says, did you poll 2020? Curious. I predicted it. I didn't poll it. Now, people like to trash my 2020 map, but it was far more accurate margin-wise than most others. It's like, oh, well, you had this state by going red by 0.3. It went blue by 0.3. It's a bad prediction. It's like, no, you had the state going blue by 7. So I don't want to hear from some of these people because they were far off the mark compared to me. We got nearly every state down within a point or two, period. And the popular vote we got down under a point from the final margin. And if you give the current popular vote margin in the final tally, you apply it to the map, we get every single state right except Nebraska second, which was a lapse in judgment. But other than that, I'd have to say 2020, we were accurate. 2021, we were even more accurate. 2023, we were very accurate. The primaries, we've been dead on for most of them. I will say that the exception was the midterms. But even, I mean, the popular vote we got right. I just didn't imagine that we'd see the map as ununiform as it was. And I've done 2 videos about this. They're in the 2022 midterm playlist, the last 2 that explain why I got wrong and what we've learned from them. A lot of people that got them wrong also and pretend that they didn't get them wrong are unwilling to learn from those mistakes, and they allow the midterms to break their brains. And we can't do that. And it's true, after the midterms, people thought Trump didn't even have a shot in the primary, but we saw how things shook out. I never thought he'd really lose it, but we'll see. Ash K2 says, as a Californian, I'll be 40 years old in 2040. Hopefully by then Republicans come to the cool party like how every celebrity endorses. Well, not every celebrity's endorsing the Dems. Trump had a better celebrity lineup than Biden. That's going to change with Harris because they got to get their ducks in a row on that front. But look at how many celebrities endorsed Bush and Romney, and look how much more Trump has. Like Hollywood's liberal. We have to take the institutions back and not try to, you're not going to out-woke the left. You're not going to out-cool the left by the left standards. You're going to have to change the conversation, change the institutions. I don't even think you can really use, I'm not saying you can't use government to do it, but you can't only use the government to do it as well. The left didn't. I don't think that we will either. But we're the counterculture in a way. I think it's good to be the counterculture, and we still have some celebrities. We have athletes, rappers, just other people. Not very many actors or whatever, but at the end of the day, look, actors are theater kids. Do you really think theater kids are cool? Come on. Let's be real. We don't want a bunch of glorified theater kids dictating who wins the presidency. I'm sorry. Let's see. All New Year 2024 says, name the top 3 most badass Trump photos. I think that the getting shot one is perfect. The mug shot is up there. I don't know. I like the one on the tank. I know it's fake, but the one of him like on the tank, I think a liberal made it actually as like satire, but it doesn't matter because it just made him look awesome. There's so many of them. There are. He's got the picture, of him when he was after the rally, the reporter, when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. He had that moment. There's a lot of good ones that he's got. A lot of good ones. Vikash Patel says, what happened to your subs between November 22 and December 23? They were flat. Found you in August 22. Great to see you grow. Well, we actually went down a little bit after the midterms. And it wasn't just because of the midterms, but the DeSantis people were not happy. We kind of proved them wrong. I guess some came back, and that's okay. If they forgive, I forgive. Some of these people, though, I mean, you have DeSantis primary people that won't endorse Trump, and they're mainly the gripe that I've got when they're trashing. When I'm trashing DeSantis, they're the number one gripe. But his campaign, talk about terminally online. Oh boy, I mean, that's kind of what a terminally online campaign was, because the perception of DeSantis in the real world was so different than that online, and of Trump among both Trump supporters and DeSantis supporters. In the real world, it was not like that, but I don't know. We have more super chats, but yeah, that's kind of what happened. But we were at 158, and then we went down to 153 6 months later, and eventually we were stagnant, and then November, December gained, and then I think that January, February, March we were growing, and we grew a lot last month too. But it's because we're in election season. I knew it would be temporary. It's kind of sucks, but what can I say? There's also less news to cover, and news that does well to cover, so there's less of an incentive to cover it. Jakarta Blue says, as a gay Republican from Minneapolis, from Palestine, they're throwing my people from buildings. What do you think I should believe? Well, I'm not going to tell you what to believe in, but I think that if you're a Republican, you probably should vote Republican, vote for Trump. That's it. That's what I'll say, period. But let's see. Sam Madsen says, even if Harris wins, would a likely Republican Senate really pass amnesty? It's not just that. I mean, to what extent will they try to go around it is the other question. To what extent will they have work overtime to get a majority leader, possibly? Like, if Harris wins, we're only getting 52 seats in the Senate unless Trump really overperforms in, like, Nevada, for example, and we're able to get Sam Brown over the finish line. But, I mean, look, you're still a Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins party switch away. If she wants to stay in Maine, maybe she'll switch parties. Maybe Murkowski will switch parties. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, period. And it's scary to think about, but we've seen that happen before. We've seen it happen. Arlen Specter leaving Pennsylvania. And Murkowski, I mean, she'll probably become an independent, but she'll probably caucus with the Dems. So it's possible that there's going to be something happening there. I don't know what's going to happen, but something. And the Democrats you do have, they're radical. John Fetterman is the most moderate Democrat the Democrats are going to have now that Manchin's leaving. And Manchin's not even all that moderate, for the record, at least not compared to how he used to operate. So either way, they're screwed in that regard. So, yeah, let's see. Shin Godzilla says, keep in mind this isn't 2020. No lockdowns, no BLM, college riots for Hamas just reveal anti-Semitism of the left. No Ronna McDaniel and the GOP now pushing early voting, harvesting, plus laying in bigger legal teams. Yeah, I don't think that the thing is, I saw a poll about the Jewish vote being 50-50. I don't know if I buy it, because it is true. There is a big segment of the Jewish population that is not very pro-Israel, or they're okay with Israel. But they're not, if they were, they'd be voting Republicans. Republicans, we know how they operate in regards to Israel, but it's, again, small portion of an electorate. Either way, Democrats are screwing themselves all around with their just willingness to possibly get rid of their strongest VP pick for their weakest pick because of that issue. That might doom them. And if Pennsylvania's within 1,000 votes, Josh Shapiro, I mean, he'll be that nominee for the Democrats in 28 because he'll be able to wedge that to his advantage. But I don't know. Evan Dangal says, Ash 2K, are you trolling? This Republican Party is better than the McCain-Romney Party, but I agree. Would love a Republican as popular as Reagan. I'm 20, by the way. I'll be voting Trump in my first presidential election. Well, look, here's the deal with Reagan. If you had 1980 demographics, Reagan would probably be a lot more popular. Like, it is true that Trump is gaining ground with like Hispanics and stuff, but ultimately speaking, the 1980 electorate was very right-leaning. And look, the Hollywood was against him then, just had less of an impact, but he did better with college-educated whites. That was like the only difference. But Trump is beating his numbers with white working class voters. The problem is there's just less of them as a percentage of the population. Democrats celebrate it because they know that they can change the makeup of this country so they can benefit. The potato guy says the Harris campaign is so terminally... Yeah. Like, when you take the advice of Bernie Sanders on the VP pick, you're probably going to shoot yourself in the foot. And that's what they did. All the worst people with the worst political instincts are celebrating right now because they think this is going to help Harris. And it's not. It's not. Is it even going to help her with the Muslim vote in Michigan? None of them know who Tim Walz is. Like, Shapiro might have been a liability, but Harris already wasn't really that strong with them to begin with. They have many other reasons to get mad. We'll see. Mad World for 25 says the shills are out in force. Pretty damn funny they keep giving you... Well, look, people give me money to trash my takes, and that's their prerogative. You know, they can do it. I'll happily take the money, plain and simple. People give me money to support. People send super chats with what they want to say. Sometimes they say something insightful. Sometimes they say something that is neither insightful nor dumb. And sometimes they'll say something dumb, like some people. Not just this super chatter, but yeah, we have a few people. We have a few people that will send money to... Look, they're only hurting themselves, which is funny. But they're trolls. We like the trolls that pay. We'll keep them around. Why not? All New Year 24 says the black glove Trump photos are also cool. Saga says the only tangible change I see with Walz is that maybe Trump Vance had a shot at getting like Marquette County, Michigan before and probably won't now. Yeah, I don't think Walz moves the needle. I think Harris is gonna do worse than Biden in Walz's own district. I really believe that. I mean, Obama won Paul Ryan's district, I think. And Paul Ryan won Paul Ryan's district in 2012. So, Jacob Carter says, as a Missourian, I'm tired if Rhino's ruling with 30% of the vote. We need runoffs like Texas. Yeah. Well, these red states are cucked in many ways because the big money that will control the swing states and the liberal states, they'll just pay for the worst Republican. I mean, how much money is George Soros given to Roger Wicker over his career in Mississippi? I mean, it's not nothing. Jakarta Blue says, last time I'm donating. I'm from Minneapolis. How do you feel about the gays who love palette? Well, again, in a way, it's like, I guess it's like trees for deforestation. Like, I'm not a fan of the alphabet stuff in this country, to be fair, just giving it to you straight. But, the things that they do over there, it's like, it's not exactly, in my view, the most Christian way of handling things either. So, again, you have people that are just on the far left. It's a social thing for them. It is. Plain and simple. I think it's funny that the left is become, they try to make themselves the big tent that caters to all these minority group interests. And then when the interests collide, they fight each other. And you're kind of seeing that right now with the Israel stuff in multiple ways. But I guess it kind of does play into that aspect of it too. Evan Dangalt says, Harris said multiple times if she doesn't get what she wants from Congress in her first 100 days, she'll use executive. Exactly. Look, I mean, the Senate, it's good to have the Senate if Harris wins, but there's no guarantee that the Senate's going to save you because you don't know what's going to happen. You could easily have they will find ways to get two Democrat senators. They have two already. Who knows if Republicans are going to fight the way they did with the House? Yeah, Susan Collins with re-election coming on, she'll vote for a liberal majority leader. She'll vote for Schumer. That's a vote taken away. Harris breaks the ties. They're still going to need one more. Hopefully Moreno gets across that finish line. I think that he will. I mean, I think that ticket splitting is really overrated, and I think it goes both ways. But let's see. Logan G says, do Republicans have a hope for the future with the shrinking white working class? I would think that without blacks and Hispanics switching, we're done. Well, I think the good news is that Hispanics, if we can get immigration under control, Hispanics over time will move right, and they are moving right, and that's a good thing. As for the white working class, I mean, even 10, 15 years from now, there's still going to be 30-some% of the electorate, and there's no guarantee that the current white millennials, some of them won't eventually leave for some reason or another. We could put a coalition together, I'm sure. If you look at Brazil, demography speaking, they are just completely, I guess you'd say, look like America in like 2150 if trends continue, and you have Bolsonaro winning there. And I mean, it's corrupt. I mean, he didn't win re-election. Well, we're not going to say anything on that because for some reason it's TOS-able. But we know there's stuff there too. All these countries, but they say it can't happen here, or you question it, you're a threat to the democracy. It's like, no, we know things happen. I know that, if it's close enough, but it's far deeper than just a few magic ballots. It's how the system was set up in the first place, in the laws that were changed, in the ways they were changed. It's a lot of things. I think that people that put hyper focus on certain things but not others are not strengthening the arguments of it. Daniel Krieger for 10 says, hey, Rep, decided to tune in because I heard Cori Bush lost her primary. That's number 2 on the losing streak for the squad. Keep up the good work, by the way. Well, thank you. And it is true. They're getting decimated. Honestly, I'm not the happiest in the world about it, just because they make us look good. They make us look good. Not that we're bad, but they make us look good. Imagine, they'll probably, I wonder what the 2028 Democrat primary is going to look like if Harris ends up losing, which I think she will. AOC, is she going to try to run? Jakarta Blue says, can't help it. You're amazing. Please keep whooping ass. Well, thank you. I appreciate the super chats. Hungry X-Man 3 says, is it still true that just a 1% better performance with the white working class guarantees the election for Trump compared to 2020? If so, Doomers can, I don't know where the rest of the super chat is, but yeah, I agree. I know what you're trying to say. I see it now. They can be quiet. Yeah. It's true. I mean, look, that's the thing. Trump actually has tailored his messaging more to the white working class this cycle, and some people online pretend like they don't. Like even, was it Cernovich was saying, or was it Matt Walsh or somebody? It was several people, even in some of the mainstream. There's a few accounts. And he is actually, if you look at the topics in 2020, it was vague stuff about the economy. It was something, he had to play defense on COVID. He really tried to out-woke the left on BLM. And I said at the time, it's not going to work. It didn't work, period, to get black voters. And some people like to pretend that Trump is now he's giving more outreach than before. It's not true. Maybe more than 2016, but not to 2020 level. But arguably he's going after unions unlike 2016. Private sector union workers, I should say, on the right. He's focusing on the Rust Belt, mainly immigration. That's a big issue among the white working class, and even among some college-educated whites. It wasn't a big issue in 2020. It's a big issue now. So again, the people that say that Trump is pandering to, I don't get it. It's funny because he doesn't really talk much about, Hispanic voters. Even in 2020 when he gained, he would focus a lot, but I don't really think he's talked much about, he's focusing on black outreach, which I've said it doesn't work. It's true. Even ask a black Republican today, did you become a Trump fan or a conservative because of these black outreach efforts? They're probably going to say no. It is a waste of time. I agree. You're going to get more black voters just by the general message. And I think it's smart. Trump went to the black convention. He doesn't do a fake accent. He didn't even talk about, I did well, he might have said something about some of his policy with HBCUs or whatever. But he was talking about energy. He was talking about immigration. Like, that's what you need to do, period. I think he won some of the room over. Maybe if it was only for entertainment factor rather than they support him now. But it's true. You have this very hostile lady there. Like, just a total just shill. And Trump goes out there and just eviscerates every question. He really works out well. Just the optics of going into the lion's den, I think, is huge. And it's like, people are like, he's pandering to black vote. Well, like, how is he doing that if they're going to say he's calling Harris non-black, which isn't technically what he said, but what he said was smart and probably is going to help him get more black voters than anything else he said, because it's true, at least on net. Harris does not have that connection to the black community the way that Obama did. She pretends that she does, but she doesn't. You have African admixture, it's true. I mean, there's a lot of people that have African admixture that don't relate to that community. There's a reason why Biden was doing better in the Democrat primary with black voters than Kamala Harris back in 2020. I mean, Harris being connected to current Biden hurts her in that department, but then Biden being connected to Obama probably helped him. Obama and Harris do not get along well. I will say that. So, okay. Josh says, is this a lost election? I'm actually scared. No, not lost. It's not even close. It might be lost. If I had to say it's lost for somebody, I probably would even say the other side. I'm not going to say that because it's still technically untrue. But the evidence that Trump is losing is because polls overnight are shifting at an unsustainable rate. There's nothing Trump's done that would explain that. There's nothing Harris has done other than become the nominee that would explain it. But looking into the polls, there is a lot of response bias. And we've seen it in 2008 when McCain picked Palin. He gave a lot of energy. It was short-lived, but a lot of energy to that campaign that he had that was failing. And you're kind of seeing the same thing here. And Obama ended up winning big. The economy crashed, which again is the economy crashing now. Some people will say that the stock market is just volatile, but that's still not good. I mean, stocks recovered by about a third of yesterday's losses. Could it be a dead cat bounce? I don't know. We'll have to see. Either way, the jobs report is not good. The economy, in terms of entering recession, it's a possibility. Bailey Spangler says, do you have any advice for my family to stop dooming? Well, they should vote and like actively work to win the argument. The problem is so many people panic after Harris becomes the nominee. What were we talking about with Biden? The border, the economy, it was a message that was against this administration more than anything else. The messaging hasn't changed. It should not change. I mean, you could throw in more about Harris's record outside of Biden's record, but that's even more of a negative. So we gotta keep fighting. You gotta keep fighting. Either way, I don't think McCain was ever up. I don't think Romney was ever up. Period. 2008, McCain was not up. He was going to lose. He would. I mean, plain and simple. Now, state polls, we'll see how those move because we've seen some of them, but some of these results, it's like Trump +4 in Pennsylvania, but he's down in Michigan by 15. It's like, that's not going to age well. Period. Michigan is going to be close. Pennsylvania, Harris could win it, but it's going to be close. I think Trump is going to win it by like 2. I can't see him losing just because, again, 2020 Trump in Pennsylvania, compare it to now with current Harris, Biden was the favorite son back then, and Trump was in a whole lot of turmoil. You don't have that now. Byron8899 says, how concerned are you with the upcoming election with respect to what happened in Venezuela? There's concern. It doesn't have much to do with Venezuela. A lot of these countries, their dictatorships, their elections are obviously, in some cases, I wouldn't even use the word rigged. I would use the word fixed. Our elections are not fixed. There are shenanigans, and there were in 2016. There were more in 2020. There may even be less now because we've invested in, an operation to fight it. I missed a super chat. Wait. Where was this? Okay, Base Cat says, I think Fetterman's brain recovery made him based. I wouldn't say based. It made him rhetorically a moderate, which is smart, because he was rhetorically like far to the left. Now he's rhetorically like, oh, I support borders. But does he actually? I mean, he's party vote for the Dems. But the fact that he's their most moderate should tell you a lot about them. But he's going to win re-election probably. It may not be by as much as people think, because 4 or 5 years is a long time, but still. Timothy Finch says, weird seeing Sticks go from Kamala's going to do worse than Biden for months to him damn near crying about how Trump will lose if he doesn't debate her. Well, I mean, Sticks' takes are volatile too. He said something about Wisconsin after they ruled something about drop boxes, which it's not going to be enough. That wasn't even the main problem in 2020. In fact, they may even help us if you look at correlation. I missed another one. Did I? Hold on. Trying to find it. Let's see. I probably could probably pull it up. I'll find it. Don't worry. There's a lot of them. If you put it in regular chat, I'll read it, because I can't even find it. But we're waiting. We got 12 minutes until Washington closes. We'll probably go for about 15 minutes or so after, and then we'll probably end the stream, because we've been going for about 3 hours. But no, Sticks. I mean, he's got good analysis, but I don't know if the debate. I think Trump will debate her. Period. I think that initially, Kamala on paper is really weak. That's the thing. But is the country just so dumb that she's stronger? I mean, look, I don't know. I think that she probably will do better with turnout energy on the left than Biden, but I don't think it's going to be enough in the places that actually matter. She'll do better in New York. She'll do better even in certain parts of the Rust Belt. But the Democrat strongholds have such high turnout in Wisconsin anyways. Madison is maxed out for the most part, to the point where I don't know if Harris is necessarily gonna do much in the rest of the state, because she's such a bad fit for the rest of the state. Let's see. Washington's red county should join great. Yeah, and Oregon too. That would be like the reddest state in the country. Like, that's the thing. Geographically speaking. They won't join with it. Is that actually true? I don't know if they put a lot of focus on that in those parts. I mean, legal weed is very popular in like Western Oregon and Seattle. But I don't know. Let's see. Doug says, what do you think about Trump in Georgia? He had some good moments in the rally. I mean, he's kind of just, he's going in attack mode, which is going to be polarizing for certain parts of the internet for sure. But he had some really good one-liners. People need to be sharing those instead of like doom casting about, oh, he said something about the governor. The governor sucks. Honestly, he's overrated. Like, it is true that it's just a dumb feud to pick a fight with Trump, because that's what happens. His wife picked the fight with Trump when their relationship was already like kind of mending. And then what do you expect Trump to do? Just sit there? Like, we saw what happened in Georgia. Raffensperger let Stacey Abrams walk all over him. Like, these people are not going to be trusted. Georgia's the most blatantly redacted state that we saw in 2020. I think Georgia, Wisconsin, maybe even Arizona, those were the three that I think would probably not hold up under serious scrutiny. You look at Michigan, I think his margin was too big. Pennsylvania, there's questions. for sure. But, I mean, every bit counts. Trump outperformed polling by, well, yeah, because Biden was benefiting from a response bias for much of the election cycle. That's a big part of it. So there's numerous things that go into it for sure. But, I mean, you're looking at the current polling and the lay of the land, and Biden was up by 11 at this point in 2020, and everybody thought, oh, well, you know, we're still going to win this. Harris is up by, I guess, now a half a point. And look at these polls that are in the aggregate. They're garbage. Like, this is the peak of the Dem cycle. Morning Compost, Survey USA, Marist. Like, Quinnipiac probably drops a Harris +7, and people are going to lose their minds. But that's just on brand for them. I mean, it really is. Like, we need New York Times to drop a poll, Wall Street Journal. We don't even have Forbes in the aggregate. Reuters is garbage. And Trump actually gained in the latest Reuters poll, or Harris lost a little bit. So, I mean, like, what do you really want to say about this is the real question. Because Trump is still polling at, 46.8. He was at 48. He's lost 1%. Harris has probably gained since she took the nomination. But I don't think that Biden is issue. But Doug said, what do you think about Trump in Georgia? And I think, or if you're talking about the election, which I don't know if that's what your super chat was getting at, rather than the rally, I think that Trump is the favorite. But I think Georgia, I would not be surprised if that was the swing state Trump lost, just because of how Georgia is. Not necessarily election system, but because you have such a high black population in Georgia. Evan Dagnall says polls were 9 times worse in 20, totally possible to win. Yeah, and just because polls were wrong in the other direction in 2022 doesn't mean they can't be, correct, or I guess you would say, at least in these state polls, or they could underestimate Trump, because Trump wasn't on the ballot in 2022. Whether you're a candidate that aligns with him or not is entirely irrelevant. But let's see. Yeah, Georgia's close. Check the turnout in Michigan. A lot of this is early vote too. Just want to say that. And currently, Democrats with 297, Republicans with 322. So it seems like there's more voters on the Republican side. That's good news, I would say. I mean, it is true Wayne County's not in, but neither is Macomb. Let's count Oakland. Oakland's got probably around 60, 70,000, and the other side seems like there's more, but the Democrat side is more counted. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to determine, but it's true Wayne County's not in. That could be a determining factor. Kent County, so far, 18,000 votes for the Dems. Republicans, 19% of their... See, it seems like Democrats might... Well, I think it's roughly about the same looking at it, because Ken has more in for the Dems, so... Henry Green says, watch out in Missouri, the total reversed, and St. Louis where Bush is the edge, not moved off 53. Well, the deal is that they get that percentage is an estimate. When they get more data, it updates. It's not perfect. It moves up and down. That's the New York Times. CNN has a different percent. Decision Desk is a different percent. Now, as long as, we see it all around. Some people think it's proof of shenanigans. Not necessarily. Cori Bush, I think the establishment clearly wants her out of there, for the record, just being honest. If anything, it'd be redacted against Cori Bush, but I don't believe it is. Adam E. says, fight, fight, fight for our country. Exactly. Like, this is the thing about politics. People think it's over for some reason, but Trump was literally almost shot like 3.5 weeks ago. Nobody's talking about that. Everybody's talking about something else. So already you kind of see how politics works. It's volatile, goes back and forth and back and forth. The narrative changes. So a lot can change, good or bad. It's not always going to be something that we're going to look at and be like, oh, this is great. But anyways, make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're 100 subscribers away from 193,000. Let's get there. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell. If you want to use live chat, make sure you subscribe. Become a member on YouTube or on the website. You get more if it's on the website. We will keep going, at least until we get some data out of Washington. Again, Democrats are going to be favored in the vote dumps, but I mean, it's going to tell us which Republican is doing best on the Republican side. But the election day votes in Washington, it's going to take hours. We're not going to sit here. We've been here for 3 hours. It's a primary stream. We might cover stuff in tomorrow's video if things get interesting enough. But other than that, we'll probably end the show probably around the 3 hour mark. We've been going for 2 hours and 44 minutes. Samuel Harrison says, do you think RFK will drop out and endorse Trump because he hurts Trump more with Harris? It's possible. They were in talks. I don't know if that's going to change. You know, he's still probably going to get votes that are just protest votes, whether he drops out or not, because that's where a lot of his votes are going to come from. He doesn't have many left. It's crazy the amount of scandals that this guy has. I mean, it's insane. I had a co-host. I mean, I consider, but I mean, people like the solo streams. I can do streams on my own for 8-9 hours on end without a co-host. It's not like I have a lot of people begging for a co-host, but you know, Apex Caliber says, so next week's polls show Walz in the economy. Well, I don't think Walz is really going to hurt Harris, for the record. I don't think he helps Harris, at least in terms of the polling. The economy, maybe. It depends on how the economy moves. If you see the stock market go down 1,000 points again tomorrow and then the next day even more, yeah, it'd be a little bit of a problem. But we'll see. A lot of people talking about other creators that could... Well, look, here's the deal. They are free to do their streams. Some people jump back and forth, and that's okay. But, I mean... They're free to do their own streams. They do their own streams. They have an audience. People go back and forth, see what different people are saying. That's okay. It drives engagement for both. Sagafrag says, unpopular opinion, I like the new Minnesota flag. Simple. I don't like the new Minnesota flag. I like the new Maine flag, though. The Minnesota flag, it's woke. I'm pretty sure it's woke. I just don't like the flag. Not a big fan. But let's see. I mean, it's true. Like, I mean, I watched CNN election night in 2016, but I'd go to Fox a little bit during the commercials, and I'd go back to CNN. CNN's election night coverage back then was relatively, in my opinion, unbiased. They do a good job at election nights. You know, obviously they have a preference. They were dumbfounded. It was funny. But it's also true that CNN kind of went off the rails even after the election. Before the election, they were biased, but they were not exactly as TDS-ridden as they were and all the media. During Trump's tenure, they got worse and worse and worse. Period. It didn't really help them, given everything, given the 2020 election result. There is a grain of vindication in it. Now, you know, the media, I guess, was covering Biden fairly because they wanted him to step down. So they were covering him fairly for a month. You got to see an alternative reality where Trump, I guess, had fair media coverage. It's crazy. It doesn't mean that it's really changing the minds of a lot of voters that actually matter, though, in the swing states. It just was mainly to prime the Democrat base for Biden dropping out. I didn't expect him to drop out when he did, though. I thought they would do it, you know, a lot sooner. They waited until the opportune time, I guess, right after the Trump convention, assassination attempt, etc., so they could dampen the RNC bump. But again, the RNC bump is also, in many ways, response bias, just like it was in 2016. Look at Hillary in August. Like the August polls for Democrats historically, Republicans have never led the polls. Even Dukakis was up by 17 in August in 1988. Like, if people want to panic over polling, like if this is mid-September, you can panic, but you don't have a right to panic right now. You don't. The Iranian Putin says, will you be alive throughout election night up until 4 a.m., preferably some late night pallets of yeah, no, I'll be live. Look, I didn't think at 11 o'clock I thought Trump is probably cooked, shenanigans or not, because I saw, or at least was in for a tough haul, because Arizona gets called on Fox way too prematurely. Georgia, the needle moves back, so I'm like, okay, if those two states are gone, then he's going to need to win. I thought he was going to win Wisconsin, though, so you add that to the column. But, Nevada, I didn't think he could win. So he would have needed, I believe, Michigan and Pennsylvania, which it was too uncertain. I didn't have him winning Michigan in my final prediction, so I was just like, yeah, we're probably screwed. So we'll be live late. Don't worry about it. It's a primary stream now. I'm not going to try to stay on. It's not even like a presidential primary. Like Super Tuesday, we were live for I don't even know how many hours. We were live for 7. Let's see. Ryan Wetherill says, why don't Republicans talk about the Disrupt J20 riot and all the other riots after Trump won in 2016 as a talking point against Jan? Yeah, I'm surprised. I've done that. And it's true. Democrats, they did try to, and they didn't not even try. They rioted in 2016 plentifully. I mean, even in Canada, there were riots over Trump. It was not exactly a very solid time. They were not accepting the results well either. So also the Iranian Putin gifted another membership and said, thanks. Well, thank you as well. But yeah, I mean, Kamala Harris has a ceiling of around, popular vote wise, her ceiling's probably 49, 50. I think Trump's is probably around the same, to be honest. I don't think voters are really, it's going to come down 50-50. The more people get to know Harris, which we'll see if they even do, they're going to like her less. She kind of has that benefit anyways. But like I said, I'm mainly, my laser focus right now is on the swing states, the main 7, and that should be our focus too. I know Trump's going to Montana on, I think, Friday, but that's mainly for Tim Sheehy. It's not because Montana's in play. So hopefully he hits the swing states next week as well. Sagas is just in. Fox calls Hawaii for RFK. Yeah. Look, I mean, we know the benchmark, I think, is in the early vote. He needs to lose it by less than 13, and he'll be the favorite. If he loses it by less than 10, he's in a good position. If he loses it by 7, he's in a great position. Even Ye in 2022 lost the early vote. And maybe it'll change as more Republicans move to that system. But either way, I think that Trump's main strategy, you lose the early vote by less than 10, you win the election day vote. He's going to win it overwhelmingly. He's going to, in my opinion, take Arizona just because, again, Harris, her strength, younger voters, there are those in Arizona, not as much as some people think, but she does not do well with Hispanics, and there's not enough black voters in Arizona for her to coast off of that like in a state like Georgia. And the average hyper-intellectual independent voter who may have voted for Biden is going to be less likely to support Harris, period, just because of how insane she is. It's a high-information state. And I think that's one of the reasons why Trump is going to boomerang a bit. And the border's another big issue there, too. So Mitchell Ryan says, isn't there a debate on September 4th? Well, we'll see. I don't think Harris is showing up. Bailey Spangler says, what do you think will be the early indicators of how the night is going in November? Well, it's hard to tell. The first counties that are fully in should give us a glimpse of it, but you just don't know because some states take a while to count everything. Oh, we have results in Washington. Okay, very early, one county. Garcia's in a clear second. Reichert's in a clear first for the governorship. So already we pretty much know the winners. But we'll see. We'll wait for it to load. We're 6 minutes after, but we're still having a conversation. But I mean, it depends. Florida's not a great indicator. Trump might win it by 15. That's not a guarantee he wins the election because Florida's Florida. I do think that Georgia, some of these other states, black turnout can kind of give us a little glimpse of what's going down. Georgia probably will have most, if not all, of their ballot. We should know the winner of Georgia probably by midnight. I think that Arizona, like I just said, that first dump of votes probably will take place at around 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern. We'll find out then who the favorite is in Arizona. Nevada, who knows when they're going to release votes, but their early votes will tell us enough. I mean, the rest of the votes are going to take a year to count, but that's par for the course. Texas, again, South Texas Hispanics, not fully correlative, but I mean, if you look at the Hispanics in like DFW, if those counties are moving right, that could be a good sign for Arizona. I think Ohio, some of the first counties that get all their votes in rural Indiana, rural Ohio, that kind of can tell us how well Trump is doing with white working class voters. And if he manages to just run up the score with them, I think that he's going to be in a very good position to win the election, assuming that it's going to carry over into Pennsylvania, which it didn't fully to eastern Pennsylvania. But keep in mind, Biden was from eastern Pennsylvania. Harris is not. Shapiro's not on the ticket. Trump probably, if he's improving in Ohio by a few points, which he did not improve, but he didn't lose, but he didn't improve. But if he improves by a few points, he probably takes Wisconsin. We'll see the returns in some of the WOW counties as well. There's a lot to get to, but we're going to have benchmarks closer to the election. But I think by maybe, this time on election night, there should at least maybe 11:30, we should have the clear favorite. Just kind of even similar to last time, but there's a lot we don't know. Because even look at the Michigan primary. How slow are they to count the ballots here? You have how much of the vote in? 29%. We're not going to be able to call Michigan with 29% in, assuming it's like within 10 points, which it will be. So again, it doesn't tell us a lot. Texas and Florida, we're going to know instantly because they dump ballots quickly because the election systems are competent. Ohio is going to have a blue mirage. Expect a blue mirage in Ohio and expect a red one in Virginia. Trump was up in Virginia with 60% of the vote reporting because Virginia counts the rural areas quicker, the election day votes quicker, you name it. But already, okay, we have more votes in. Let's check the 3rd district primary. Yeah, Kent's going to, they're neck and neck too. Kent only got like 20-some% last time. MGP and Kent are neck and neck. That's, again, this is not fully determinative, but we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. Clark County was the only remaining bellwether, because bellwethers they don't exist, period. And that's another thing. Bellwether counties don't exist. People will say that's evidence of 2020 shenanigans, but in reality, Trump could have lost the election fair and square by 20 points, and he would have still won most, if not all, those counties, because Trump does so well with white working class voters compared to past Republicans that they're overrepresented in those bellwethers. This county really only moved left because of California transplants that are more liberal. So I don't know if we have very many bellwethers. It's like Vigo County, Indiana. It's probably going to vote more red than ever. Doesn't mean Trump's going to win the election. It's a demography thing. Alec Lewis for 10, thank you. Logan Agee says, can you explain why Ohio will have a blue mirage? Ohio's going to have a blue mirage because you look at the state, it counts its early ballots first and its blue metros first. Donald Trump was trailing by like double digits with 50% reporting, and I'm like, chill out. We look at Mahoning County, it's all the way in. Trump flipped it red, and it's like, okay, it's over. But some reason they'll call Virginia if it's a mirage state, but they won't do the same for Ohio, or even in a place like Indiana. It took how many, 2-3 hours to call Indiana. It's ridiculous. But I mean, either way, let's check somebody said Dan Newhouse is going to lose. I hope. Let's check. This is also another reason to watch this. He might. Wow. Okay, because these are early ballots. I don't know how it's going to shake out in the rest of the district, but there's a shot that he comes in third, depending on how the remaining ballots go. And this is a race where I think Trump was smart to do a dual endorsement, because that would potentially help box out Newhouse. Obviously, maybe you could make the case that the less solid Republican wins in November, but it would be worth it to have Smiley over Sessler if Newhouse goes down for sure. That's true. This is one to watch for sure. We just don't know when we're going to get in all these ballots. Hopefully we'll get them in within, I don't know. I said I'd end in a minute, but I'm not going to. But again, make sure you guys like the stream, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. We're so close. We're like 100 away from 193K. And when the stream's over, you can watch the last video if you haven't yet, recapping the Tim Walz pick for the running mate, which I think was not a good pick to make. I'm not saying he's going to doom the ticket, but I don't think he helps it really with anybody. SWBRL says, I'm from Ohio, but I'll move to Pennsylvania for college. Can choose which state to vote. Is it more important for Trump to get my vote in Pennsylvania or Moreno in Pennsylvania for sure. Pennsylvania for sure. Don't even bother. Look, the presidency is everything. We need to win Pennsylvania. You'd rather have the presidency, and if you could decide that one vote, I mean, Pennsylvania by far. Moreno probably wins anyways. Pennsylvania is far less likely, in my opinion, even though I still think it's likely. I just think the down ballot effects in Ohio are just too strong, and people are going to doubt that, but it's going to be proven right. By the way, the final poll from Marist in Ohio, people love to talk Marist, their final poll in Ohio in 2020, they had Joe Biden winning Ohio by 2 points. Same thing with Morning Consult. Like, these are the pollsters. They don't know how to poll a lot of these places. Moreno's not even down by, the last poll had him down 4 and has Trump up 9. If Trump wins by 7, I think that Moreno would still win. If he won by 5, Moreno would win, but I think Trump's going to win by like 10. Vance is on the ticket. Probably helps out. Home state factor. Even if he underran Trump, there's a lot of factors at play, because it's just true. The Ohio thing, they're going to vote. If you have an independent voter, again, Vance's favorability in the Cincinnati suburbs, higher. He got more of a share of the vote there than Trump did. Just saying. So Kent went down again, mainly because Clark County dropped. Pacific County has not dropped yet. But this is, again, early vote. Perez is at a high point, and she's already losing to the Republicans combined. So the fact is, she's at 47.2. That's not good, period. These voters in the general, probably most of them go to Kent anyways. And again, you don't have a full turnout anyways, so we'll see. We will see. More votes come in. It's filling in. Let's go down to, yes, Serrano is going to be the Republican nominee for AG. Newhouse, oh, it's so close. I feel the election day votes, because Trump gave the dual endorsement, Smiley's probably going to get a bump with the election day votes. Some of these places, it's all early vote. Again, okay, she went down. Just depends on what happens over here. But again, this is the early dump. You think Newhouse would be doing worse on election day. This is not good for him. Democrats, they would have been smart not to run a candidate in this district, to be fair. And I mean, they really did. It's going to be RVR in the final round. But Hair Cafe says, hey, dude, if Trump loses in 24, should he run 28? No, he's going to be 82. Look, he will be, the main concern in that worst case scenario would be how the Republican Party reacts to it. And I said how they'd react to the midterms, and I was right. I said it on my election night stream, and I was right. And I was dumbfounded at how stupid these people were. But they're going to get even dumber now. Trump, again, if Trump gives them 53 Senate seats and a Republican majority and barely falls short because of potential shenanigans, and outruns people's expectations like 2020, Like, he's not the main factor. The other thing is Trump is doing better than down ballot Republicans. He is. Which again kind of proves that you can't say he's fully the problem when for the first time in his career he's doing better in the generic ballot than down ballot Republicans. You could say, well, because the average Dem is not tied to Biden as much, but I mean, they basically are, plain and simple. And Trump's the strongest candidate to run because he has a record. He has no scandals, period, that are new, that could hurt him. He's scandal-proof at this point. So, again, he can survive Access Hollywood. He can survive everything. COVID's already in the back mirror for most people. New York Times called Missouri's first for Wesley Bell. Cori Bush is gone. Well, yeah, she's gone. Yeah, she's done. It's over for her. That's funny. Again, it got closer, but she didn't win. She deserves to lose. She does deserve to lose. That part is true. But, I mean, she definitely serves a purpose. She makes us look good by comparison no matter what we do. So, either way, let's see. Yeah, she won't be missed. She won't be missed either. Bob Odener won. Let's see. What's going on here? Yeah, Ferguson's below 50 in the early vote. But again, well, Seattle came in. That's interesting. I mean, there are some liberal counties that have not yet reported. But, I mean, for this to be the case, below 50. Well, I mean, there are other Democrats, though. So that's not fully the case. But we'll see. We'll add it all up when it's all said and done. You add up the Republicans, you've got 36, 38, 40, 41. That's not bad for early vote. But again, more Republicans in these states vote early anyways. Let's see. Minnie Ovens says, how should we react to all the pro-Kamala noise on social media? Thanks for all the streams and insight. I think the way to do it is to tune it out. A lot of it's fake, bought and paid for. I'm more worried about the real world and the real world movement, not necessarily within polls, but within how the same people, because this is the thing, response bias is real, how average voters are taking certain things. I mean, it's clear that these Gen Z memes are not moving the needle. Not much. And again, I think we're going to have to wait about a month and look at the polling then, and then see what it's doing. Because it's obviously response bias now, and then the social media surge, which was nowhere near 2020 for Biden, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. People don't remember how bad it was, period. But Perez at 47, and that's with the early vote in from the most liberal part of the county. It's only going to get worse for her from here. That's good news for Kent overall. So, I mean, I know it's early still, but it's probably going to get better. But anyways, let's go back to the 3rd district because there's still some counties that need to report here. Or not the 3rd, the which district? Okay, yeah, they called it. Yeah, Kent is going to go to the runoff with Perez, MGP. This is tough. Douglas County, these are the counties that'll determine it, but we would prefer for these two to report so we can end the stream, because once they do, we'll have a better picture. But Newhouse has got a clear shot to lose in round 1, which would be huge. It would be huge. And maybe hope, well, I don't know who Trump will re-endorse for the general. We'll see. If he endorses both of them, I mean, Democrats in that district, we'll see where they go. But I'd rather have Sessler, but we'll see. Citrus Peppercorn says Corey not in the house. True. Real and true. Okay, wait. So Sessler went up with the early dump in Yakima County. So we have 2 counties left. That gap is 4.9%. But again, half the vote is left, and probably it's going to close. It depends on what happens in Douglas County. It depends on what happens in Tat, or however you pronounce that county. Yep. Let's see. Why do states have primaries after the RNs? Because that's national primaries. State primaries, they go until September. The state conventions, I guess, tap it at different times throughout the year. They don't get press coverage. If we did an RNC for 2022, like if you had like midterm RNCs nationally and like had all the speakers there and it was televised, that would be, midterm turnout would go up a lot and we probably would have benefited from it, but it's not like the media would have covered it for only one side. Let's see. Nothing in Douglas, nothing there. Okay. But also the candidates are just too different to really all unify in a place like that. But like I said, you would anticipate Newhouse would have his best showing in this vote dump. And you have 2 counties left. It's going to be like probably at most like 50% of the vote. And he's going to be only up by like 3 to 4. That's not exactly good. So let's see. No more super chats. I guess we're going to end this stream in about 2 minutes. We'll go for another 2 minutes because we kind of already know the winners here in all these races except this one, and we're not going to know this one for a while anyways, so it's not like there's any nail biters. Will this be a good indicator for the presidential election? No, not necessarily. Why do I have Alan Lichtman derangement syndrome? I don't have Lichtman derangement syndrome. I just think Lichtman has a reality derangement syndrome. Like, I think he's comical at this point because he thought Biden would win, but again, Biden dropped out because he couldn't win. There's so many things that Lichtman's gotten wrong over the years that never gets talked about. It all gets whitewashed. It's not a matter of derangement syndrome. I don't even think the keys are necessarily the worst system in general, but no model is perfect. No model will hold up 100% under scrutiny. And Lichtman is he's got TDS. He wanted Trump to be impeached multiple times. Like, I'm not saying that you can't be a good analyst and have bias because I do, but I mean, he pretends like he's got this objective interpretation of his model when in reality he's wish casting. And even back in 2016, he said that Trump would lose Ohio. So how would he win if he lost Ohio? There's never been a Republican that has ever won the White House without winning Ohio. So let's see. How many more primaries left? I think there's some next week and the week after. There might be 3 or 4 primary days left, but I mean, they're going to get less and less important. I can't think of one. Maybe New Hampshire's governor primary is going to be the most consequential, but either way, the Republicans are similar. I think they're going to actually keep that seat without Sununu. Top Dog Obedience. It seems like Kent's always fighting for his life. Well, I mean, he's not really doing that today because they already called it. He's making it to the general. Now, it is true that Perez got more votes than he did, but he's only, again, the only Democrat in the race is Perez, and you have 2 Republicans as well. And I think there's a chance when all the rest of the votes come in, Kent's going to close that gap significantly. Anyways, he might even come in first. That might be a stretch, but we'll see. But other than that, it's like we've been going for 3 hours. Probably going to end it. Is Herrera Butler running for lands commissioner? That's interesting. We'll see how it shakes out down the stretch. There's still a couple counties they haven't put in the district here. Anyways, I think we're going to wrap it up anyways. Like the stream before you go. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications. Go watch my last video as well. It's a good one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.